What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. Whitebeard both sons and daughters 1SD Chapter 1 Rebirth. One Piece is real. One Piece, Roger's treasure, really exists on that island. On the calm sea, a pirate ship with the appearance of a whale was sailing smoothly on the sea level. Suddenly a loud sound came from the whale boat. I saw a very huge seat in the middle of the deck on this ship, and there was a man about 6.5 meters tall on it, shouting loudly as if he had a nightmare. "Captain! What's wrong, Captain? What One Piece?" A pirate gangster came forward and asked anxiously. "What's going on? I'm not at naval headquarters, why am I here?" Edward Newgate looked around with some confusion. It was obvious that just now I was fighting bloody battles with Sakazuki and the others at naval headquarters to save Ace. "Lord Newgate. What are you talking about? What naval headquarters? We are now in the capital of the Seven Waters. We have just completed the construction of our new ship, the Moby D*K, and you fell asleep on the chair as soon as you boarded the ship." The pirate gangster said. "Have you just completed the construction of the Moby D*K? Newgate excitedly pulled the pirate gang in front of him and asked seriously. "What year is it now?" It's Sea Circle Calendar 1480. "What's wrong, Lord Newgate?" The pirate gangster replied with some trepidation. After all, the person in front of him was Edward Newgate, a man known as a supernova along with Ochaku, Silver Axe, John and others. If he made him angry, he would never be able to eat and walk around. 1480. 1480. 1480. Gu la la la. Upon hearing this, Edward Newgate laughed excitedly. "Advertisement. Since God gives me another chance, Ace, I will never let you die in front of me again." Newgate's eyes burst out with endless light. "And teach. You be asterisk 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 D. Lousy will definitely kill you himself." Newgate felt the sense of relaxation brought by his young body, and couldn't help but feel excited again. "Lord Newgate. Now that you've woken up, where should we go next?" the pirate asked with some confusion. Where to go? Hearing this, Newgate also fell into deep thought. After all, so many years have passed and his memory has become very blurry. "However, I feel my empty hands and my body that has not yet received the ability of shock fruit. The top priority is to improve your own strength," Newgate thought to himself. Newgate carefully recalled his past memories, although many memories were blurred due to the passage of time. But there are still many things that will be remembered, like joining Rock's Pirate. In Newgate's memory, he joined Rock's Pirate after getting Cloudcut and Shock Fruit. If you don't have enough strength, joining Rock's Pirate is very dangerous, Newgate also thought secretly in his heart. However, for Newgate, Rock's Pirate, although dangerous, is a good place to make money and obtain Devil Fruit. The money was okay, but Marco got the Phoenix Fruit after he joined Rock's Pirate. So no matter what, he wanted to join Rock's Pirate, but there was only about a year left before Rock's Pirate was established. Therefore, Newgate must improve his strength in the shortest possible time. There are two ways to improve your strength, one is the Devil Fruit ability, and the other is the appropriate weapon. And Newgate, who has memories of his past life, naturally knows the whereabouts of the left cut and the shock fruit. Newgate held his chin and thought for a while before saying, "Advertisement. Go to Death Canyon in New World." "Death Canyon?" the pirate minions murmured with some confusion. After all, it was just an ancient battlefield, and the canyon seemed to have been split open by someone with a knife. And for unknown reasons, there is almost no grass growing there, and no one lives on it. It is known as one of the trashiest islands, so the pirates don't quite understand Newgate's thoughts. However, they did not dare to refute, since Newgate gave the order, they just had to complete it. Newgate stood on the bow of the ship, staring deeply in the direction of naval headquarters. "Now that I'm reborn, in this life I not only want to start my own family, but I also want to make my family famous throughout the world." Newgate thought to himself, and then a terrifying Conqueror's Haki burst out of his body instantly. This terrifying Conqueror's Haki is actually 3 points stronger than his previous life. Because Newgate's state of mind changed and he unconsciously released Conqueror's Haki, all the pirates on the Moby D*K were stunned by Newgate in an instant. Ding! Congratulations to host for his change of heart and successful activation of the system for both children and children, close double angle bracket. Suddenly a voice sounded directly in Newgate's mind, causing him to look around in shock. Who is it? Who is talking? After all, this ability is so weird that it can actually speak in his mind. Does that mean it can also directly attack his brain? What's wrong? Lord Newgate. No one is talking. A pirate gangster looked at Newgate, who suddenly went crazy and became a little trembling. After all, Lord Newgate has been so strange these past 2 days. Ding. The system for both children and daughters does not belong to anyone, but is a tool exclusive to the host. Close double angle bracket. Children and daughters system? Tool? The voice of the system sounded in Newgate's mind again. Chapter 2: The system of having both children and daughters. Ding. That's right. The system is just a tool that exists in the host's mind and can help the host build a family of his own. Close double angle bracket. Starting a family? Goo la la la, it's so great. Newgate, who was a little wary at first, laughed happily when he heard that this system could help him start a family. If the system said it could give him money and great strength, Newgate would definitely ignore it, but now that it said it could help him start a family, the temptation for Newgate was too great. System, how are you going to help me start a family? Newgate asked in his mind. Ding. Every time the host has a son, the system will reward the host a daughter genetically modified by the host. Conversely, if the host has a daughter, the system will reward the host a son genetically modified by the host. Close double angle bracket. Note: although the son or daughter awarded to host is created by host's genes, in fact, those unfortunate people are extracted from all the worlds to become host's children. Close double angle bracket. Ah! Newgate said with a look of disgust on his face. System, you won't let me give birth by myself, right? I have no interest in women, to be honest. Ding. There is no need for the host to give birth to a child. As long as the host truly regards a certain person as his son, and that person also truly regards the host as his father, the system's rewards will be triggered. Close double angle bracket. That's good, that's good. Newgate breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. After all, even though he could live a new life, if he really had to give birth to a child by himself, he wouldn't be able to do it. Newgate's idea of starting a family is still to adopt those orphans, but unlike his previous life, he only adopts a few good ones as his own children. Others can join their own pirate group, but as for being his own children, forget about it. Do you have any other functions for the system? Newgate was thinking in his mind and asked subconsciously. Ding. In addition to the main functions, the system also has an attribute panel and 2 achievement sections. Close double angle bracket. The attribute panel allows the host to view the attributes of himself and his subordinates, which allows the host to better train his own people. Close double angle bracket. As for achievements, as long as the host completes the achievements, he will receive corresponding rewards. Close double angle bracket. Attribute panel. Newgate nodded understandingly after hearing this, and then said, the system opens my attribute panel. Name: Edward Newgate. Age: 32 years old. Potential: S+. Power: S-class. Speed: S-class. Energy: S-class. Body level: S. Combat techniques: Top Conqueror's Haki Naginata technique. Ability: none. Advertisement: evaluation. This guy is terrifyingly powerful, but his brain is a little abnormal. He actually likes being a father. Close double angle bracket. Newgate fell silent when he looked at the evaluation given to him by the system. What does it mean that his brain is not normal? Is it possible that you don't like giving birth to your own children, but you like helping others raise their children's brains? Newgate suddenly stopped thinking about it, because he suddenly realized that his thoughts seemed a bit abnormal. After all, what normal person would not like to have children by himself, but would like to help others raise children? Suddenly I sat up in shock. The freak turned out to be me? Bah, I'm not a freak. Newgate shook his head and stopped thinking about those strange things. My strength is definitely Admiral level, so S level corresponds to Admiral level strength. And your potential may determine your upper limit, which is the peak Admiral level. But how come my physical level is S? What's going on with the system? My physical strength is not low, isn't it? Looking at the S body grade, Newgate asked inwardly with some doubts. Ding. Body level includes not only physical strength, but also vitality, recovery and more. According to the overall level of the host's body, it is indeed S. That's right. Close double angle bracket. Body recovery power. Vitality. Newgate understood instantly when he saw the explanation given by the system. My physical strength is indeed good, but because my vitality and recovery ability are relatively weak, I will be tortured by illness in my later years. Although the main reason is the hidden damage caused by the reaction force of shock fruit, but if your recovery ability is strong enough, you don't have to worry about any hidden damage. Newgate continued to work on the system. But that's not right. My strength in the peak state of my previous life was obviously far beyond the admiral level. However, when he saw that his potential was only S+, Newgate touched his chin in confusion and fell into deep thought. Is it because the reason for devil fruit? Gula Lala. No matter what, but judging by the time, we should be arriving at Sabody archipelago soon, right? I don't know if Marco is still in that village? Newgate thought with some nostalgia. Lord Newgate. The Sabody archipelago has arrived. Just when Newgate was still thinking that the Sabody archipelago should be arriving soon, the voice of a pirate gang suddenly rang. Newgate looked in the direction of the pirate gangster's finger, and saw islands that looked like huge trees appearing in his field of vision. This is the Sabody archipelago, where each island is a giant almond mangrove. Moreover, each almond mangrove has its own number. According to the number, the Sabody archipelago is divided into several different areas. And Newgate and the others are going to New World, so they have to go to almond mangrove number 50 to 59 to find the coding craftsman coding. Soon the Moby D*K docked at the port of Yaman mangrove number 51. Advertisement, my lord, do you need coding? When Newgate and others got off the boat, countless craftsmen rushed out from the corner. If it was an ordinary ship, that would be fine, but Newgate's Moby D*K was a huge ship. If he took over this business, it would be a huge amount of money. Because Newgate was in a hurry, he hired multiple coding craftsmen to perform coding at the same time. But even so, it still takes a week to complete the coding. But Newgate didn't say much. After all, he came to Sabody archipelago for another purpose. That is to find that boy Marco. I don't know if that kid is still on island number 5. Newgate rubbed his chin in thought. After all, areas 1 to 29 are illegal zones. Marco is only 7 years old now. If he really wants to survive in the illegal zone, he must hide here and there. So even Newgate himself couldn't find Marco in the first place. But Newgate is not in a hurry. After all, the coding will take another week, so even if he is searching island by island, his time will definitely be enough. Thinking of this, Newgate immediately walked towards the direction of number 5 Yaman mangrove. Although he was not sure whether Marco would be there, after all, he met Marco there in his previous life, so Newgate went directly to Area 5 with a sense of luck. Although there is enough time, it would be the best thing if we could find Marco as soon as possible. Soon Newgate appeared in the area of the number 5 Yaman mangrove. Newgate unceremoniously released his observation Haki. However, his move immediately caused dissatisfaction. After all, it is very impolite to use observation Haki to randomly detect other people's information. Moreover, this is a lawless zone, and everyone here is not a good person, so after realizing that they were being scanned by observation Haki, everyone looked at the source of observation Haki with wide eyes. But, when they saw the figure clearly, they all fell silent. After all, the guy in front of him is Edward Newgate. Although they are all extremely vicious people, they are not fools. If you really dare to show dissatisfaction with Edward Newgate, you may have to crawl out today. So they all pretended to be ostriches and didn't dare to say anything more. Edward Newgate shook his head in disappointment, because based on his perception, Marco was not here. There was no other way, so Newgate had no choice but to go to island number 1 and start the search from scratch. Chapter 3. Do you want Marco to be my son? Because Newgate did not find any trace of Marco on the island of Yaman mangrove number 5. So Newgate planned to start from number 1, but Lady Luck didn't seem to favor Newgate. 5 hours later, Newgate stood helplessly at the roots of the number 29 almond mangrove tree. Damn, that little brat isn't in a lawless place, is he? You made me search for so long. Damn it, Let's see if I will catch him and spank him after I find him. Newgate thought viciously. Marco. Why is it so cold today when I go there? How dare you steal my stuff? Beat him to death. Just when Newgate was about to use observation Haki again to find Marco, a sudden noise caught his attention. What happened over there? Why is it so noisy? Newgate looked at the direction where the sound came from with some confusion. No. Newgate immediately shook his head. I'm still looking for Marco. How can I be distracted? Then, Newgate had already appeared in the crowd, grabbed a person and asked, What happened, brother? Why are you so noisy? Oh no. It was just a thief who was caught stealing something. The man subconsciously answered, but when he saw that the person who asked him turned out to be Edward Newgate, the great pirate of the New World, he was frightened and took a few steps back. Supernova Edward Newgate. What? Why does this scary guy appear here? Go. Due to the appearance of Edward Newgate, the street that was originally crowded with people suddenly became very deserted, with only the attacker and the beaten remaining. As the onlookers left, Newgate's field of vision suddenly broadened, and he could clearly see the situation inside. Pirates are originally a group of people who are full of curiosity and like to join in the fun. Although Newgate has been resurrected, this has not changed at all. Now that his field of vision was widened, Newgate took out a handful of melon seeds from somewhere and just sat on the ground, watching the man beat the thief. After taking a closer look, Newgate discovered that the thief was actually a child. Bah! Newgate cracked melon seeds, spitting out the melon seed shells left in his mouth from time to time, complaining. Children nowadays really don't have tutors, and they don't know who their father is. They must be just like him, tutor. Advertisement. And not only do you have no tutor and no discernment, but you don't know how expensive things are when you steal them, and you even steal pineapples. Newgate looked at them leisurely and complained from time to time. Wait. Pineapple? Newgate, who was watching the play with great interest, suddenly felt that something was not quite right. Pineapple? Why does it feel so familiar? Newgate carefully observed the beaten child again. Why was he stealing a pineapple? He had a pineapple head. Pineapple head. Marco. Seeing that Marco was about to be beaten to death, Newgate didn't care about eating melon seeds and immediately rushed to stop their atrocities. Goo la 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 la. Can this boss give me some face and let this little guy go? Although Newgate was anxious, he still pretended to be very heroic and smiled. Give you a face? Who do you think you are? The boss who was beating the thief was already angry, but now he was interrupted from casting a spell. He suddenly felt like he couldn't urinate, and looked at him angrily, to the person who spoke. But when he saw the appearance of the person who was speaking, he was so frightened that he almost peed. He knelt down directly, and his originally very violent expression instantly turned into a charming one. Who do you think you are? Ah, Dad, have mercy. F***CK. What are you doing? Just stop it, you're going to recognize me as your father right now. Although I like to take in my godson, you're older than me, right? Hearing what the boss said, Newgate was completely confused, but he quickly adjusted. Let's go. Don't embarrass this kid, I will pay for whatever he stole. No, I didn't know that this young master had anything to do with Mr. Newgate. Let's leave now. The boss stumbled and quickly disappeared in front of Newgate, as if he was receiving amnesty. Thank you for saving me. Little Marco had already climbed up from the ground, looking gratefully at Newgate who had saved him. His face was bruised and swollen, and he was sniffling from time to time, so much so that Newgate almost stopped laughing. I miss you so much. Marco was so cute when he was a child. Although it hurts to see him injured, he is so funny now. Newgate snickered inwardly. Although he was laughing and feeling distressed in his heart, Newgate knew that he must educate this boy well at this time. After all, as a pirate, he could rob and buy, but he couldn't steal. So he still had a serious look on his face. What's your name, kid? Why are you stealing? If you want anything in this sea, you can grab it with your own strength, but you can't steal it. My name is Marco. I know that stealing is not good, but I want to live, and I never steal valuable things. I only steal food. When I grow up and have the ability, I will return the money. There. Marco looked at Newgate very firmly. And Newgate looked at Marco with an expression of satisfaction, and secretly said in his heart, As expected of Edward Newgate's son. As my son, you must have this kind of consciousness. Advertisement. Newgate thought shamelessly. Obviously he had forgotten how he just complained about the thief in front of him and his dad. Goo la la la. Nice look. Newgate suddenly laughed very boldly and said, "Boy, my name is Edward Newgate, and I am a pirate. I can feed you and give you a chance to live. What do you think? Do you want to be my son? Do you want to be my son?" These words exploded in Marco's mind like a bolt from the blue. Marco has been an orphan since he was a child. He relies on picking up garbage, fishing by himself, eating wild vegetables and stealing things. He did whatever it took to survive. But I was unlucky today. I was discovered by the boss while stealing food, and he was caught and beaten up severely. Just when Marco thought he was going to die, a very reliable and tall man appeared in front of him. The man not only saved him, but he also experienced the education from his elders for the first time in his life. The man told himself that he must become strong and that he could grab anything he wanted, but he could not steal it. Marco liked this feeling very much, because it was a family affection that he did not have. He didn't know what this feeling was. Maybe it was father's love or something else. Just when Marco wanted to think of a way to stay with that man for a while longer. "Will you be my son?" That man actually invited him to be his son? "I do, Dad." Marco said this almost without hesitation. Goo la la la. Lousy finally has his own son. Newgate laughed excitedly when he heard Marco's answer without hesitation. "Dad will take you home." As he spoke, Newgate turned and walked in the direction of the Moby D*K. Marco, on the other hand, looked at Newgate's back and said secretly, "Dad, I will definitely remember your teachings. Become stronger than anyone else." Chapter 4 First Reward. After returning to the Moby D*K, Newgate excitedly pushed Marco in front of everyone and announced, "Lousy finally has a son. Marco will be my son from now on." Lord Newgate finally found his first family. Haha, congratulations to Lord Newgate. Welcome Master Marco. The pirates on the Moby D*K were all very happy for Newgate after learning that Newgate had finally found his first family. After all, although Newgate is a pirate, he is very kind to his crew members and will distribute the treasures he grabs to them. Even if he is an ordinary little pirate, as long as he gets on this ship and is bullied by others outside, Newgate will go to find a place for him. Therefore, Newgate is very respected in everyone's hearts. They also knew that Newgate went to sea to find his family and then start a family of his own. But after following Lord Newgate for so many years, I have never seen him find his family. They were also worried about Newgate, but Newgate said there was no problem. So they didn't say anything more and just kept this matter in their hearts. But now, Lord Newgate has finally found a son, so everyone is very happy for him, and treats Marco with great enthusiasm and respect. It was also the first time for Marco to experience this feeling of being respected and welcomed by others, and he felt a little overwhelmed all of a sudden. Originally he thought he was just an orphan adopted by his father, and he was still worried about whether he would be disliked or something. But things were very different from what he imagined. Unexpectedly, he was not disliked at all, but was welcomed very much. Woo 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 woo. Marco's last worry disappeared without a trace at this moment, and he finally burst into tears uncontrollably. In order to survive in the past, Marco could only force himself to be strong, but don't forget that he was always just a 7-year-old child. Although Newgate saved him and recognized him as his son, he was still uneasy and wary of Newgate. However, the generous introduction of Marco as his son in Newgate and the welcome of everyone on the Moby D*K finally allowed him to take off his disguise. At this moment, he finally turned back into the 7-year-old child. He burst into tears because he was so happy. It was as if he wanted to cry out all the grievances he had suffered in the past. Woo, Daddy, I'm so happy. I finally have a family, right? Marco kept wiping his tears and asked aggrievedly. Idiot Marco. Idiot son. From the moment you promised me, you are my son, aren't you? Seeing Marco sobbing, Newgate felt a little distressed. Only then did he realize that the Marco in front of him was not the Marco he would pamper in the future. Advertisement. It's the little kid who hasn't been adopted by him yet and is still struggling to survive. Newgate directly hugged Marco in his arms and said loudly, Marco, please listen to me. From now on, You will be my son Edward Marco. Do you hear me? Marco also hugged Newgate happily. Too quiet, I can't hear you. Got it, Dad. Gula la la la, ha ha ha. When the surrounding pirates saw this scene, they all showed anti-smiles. At this moment, a notification sound suddenly sounded in Newgate's mind. Ding! Congratulations to host for getting his first son. Do you want to claim your first daughter? Close double angle bracket. Ding! Congratulations to host for completing the achievement, the first egg. Do you want to receive the reward? Close double angle bracket. Reward? Newgate was also a little surprised by the sudden sound in his head. Because the system has made no sound since the first day he came back after rebirth. And Newgate himself is a carefree character, so he kind of forgot about it. Ding! Do you want to claim the reward? Close double angle bracket. No, Newgate said without hesitation in his heart, because it was really inappropriate for him to still hold little Marco in his arms. After comforting Marco, he asked a pirate to arrange a room for Marco. Newgate also returned directly to his room and sat on the sofa in the room. Newgate did not receive the reward immediately, but looked at Marco's attribute panel. The system opens the attribute panel of my son Marco, Newgate said with some curiosity in his heart. Name: Edward Marco. Age: 7 years old. Potential: A+. Power: G-Class. Speed: G-Class. Energy: G-Class. Body grade: G. Advertisement: Combat skills: none. Ability: none. Evaluation: a pineapple head with good potential. Close double angle bracket. Newgate was also a little speechless about the system's evaluation of Marco. Although Marco's head does look very much like a pineapple, is it inappropriate for you as a system to complain like this? Regarding the system's approach, Newgate could only say, "You're so damn right. This guy is just a pineapple head. I thought I was the only one who thought so, blah blah blah. He is indeed a hero. We see the same thing, ha ha ha." Looking at Marco's attribute panel, Newgate nodded clearly. After all, Marco's strength in his previous life was only at the peak level of Vice Admiral, so it makes sense to only have a plus level talent. But Newgate was a little curious. After all, he guessed that eating the devil fruit could improve his talent. He just didn't know what Marco's talent would be like after eating the phoenix fruit. After satisfying his curiosity, Newgate decided to see what the system's achievement rewards were. The system collects the achievement rewards first, Newgate said in his heart. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully receiving the achievement, first egg. Reward: close double angle bracket. Ding! Congratulations to host for obtaining S+ qualification enhancement potion X5. It has been put into the system warehouse. Close double angle bracket. Qualification enhancing potion? What does it do? Newgate looked at the rewards given by the system and asked with some doubts. Ding! The S+ qualification improvement potion can directly upgrade the talents of people with A to S level talents to S+ level. Close double angle bracket. Great! Newgate looked at the rewards given by the system, and his heart kept beating. Because Newgate has actually been worried about his son's talents. In the previous life, only Marco, Ace, and Bista had a chance to reach the Admiral level if they worked hard. As for the others, they would probably only be at the Vice Admiral level in the end, so he was always worried. Especially after seeing Marco's talent, Newgate became even more worried. At first, he thought Marco's talent would be at least S. But, who knew that without eating devil fruit, Marco's talent would be only A+. And now that the system's achievement rewards have rewarded 5 S+ qualification improving potions, although I can't use them, I can at least give my 5 children Admiral level strength. In this case, even if I die, there are ways to protect other brothers. Newgate opened the system warehouse repeatedly and made sure that the 5 S+ qualification enhancement potions were really lying safely in the system warehouse before turning his head to look at another reward with peace of mind. This is what Newgate values most, because this reward system will use his genes to create a daughter for him. With an uneasy feeling, Newgate said in his heart, "The system will collect the reward for my daughter." Chapter 5: The First Daughter. Ding! Congratulations on successfully claiming the host reward. Now we will begin to draw the unfortunate people in the world. Please wait while the draw is in progress. As the system beep sounded, a picture appeared in front of Newgate's eyes. I saw a little girl with blonde hair about 4 years old appearing in the picture. At this time, the little girl was very happy, and this cute baby was carefree all day long, fooling around with her grandpa every day. After a while, I even learned to gamble. In the picture, little Tsunade is holding the money he won from his grandfather Senju Hashirama, lighting it like a moneyman, and giggling from time to time. Goo la la la. It seems like my daughter is quite interesting. Looking at the cute little girl in the picture, Newgate burst into laughter and showed an anti-smile. But the content in the picture began to change. The little girl who was originally extremely happy, her relatives left one after another, from her grandfather, to her brother, to her lover, and finally even her companions. One by one they left, and finally she was left alone. The picture was also frozen, with her standing majestically in the center of the picture, and underneath was her name, Senju Tsunade. Well. Newgate sighed deeply, suddenly feeling that he was just an orphan, and it was not something unfortunate. In the last life, at least no one he cherished died in front of him except Saki. Newgate also made up his mind to instill in his sons the idea that whoever dares to bully Tsunade in the future will crush those guys to ashes. Ding! The extraction of Senju Tsunade was successful. Now let's use host's genes to shape her body. Please wait. Close double angle bracket. As the system beeped, a shadow appeared in front of Newgate, and it gradually became solid as time went by. Finally, 5 minutes later, the figure completely solidified. A blonde girl about 18 years old appeared in front of Newgate, and then slowly opened her eyes, looking at the surrounding environment curiously. The system had told her that she came here to be a man's daughter because of her misfortune in her previous life, so she agreed without any hesitation. And now she was looking at the tall man in front of her and secretly asked, "Is he my father?" Seeing Tsunade looking at him, Newgate became a little panicked. Because he knew about her misfortune, he was afraid of scaring her, so he didn't know how to speak for a while. Dad. Because of the system, Tsunade happily accepted this identity. Why? Goo la la la. Haha, lousy finally has a daughter. As soon as he heard Tsunade call him daddy, Newgate laughed happily. Tsunade, do you still remember the memories from your past life? Newgate asked doubtfully. Remember? When he thought of his past life, Tsunade was a little disappointed. After all, his whole life was accompanied by misfortune. If he loved someone, that person would die. This is still the case even in old age. I also know about your misfortune in your previous life, but what I want to tell you is that Dad is very strong. I will never die in front of you, and Dad will never let anyone you cherish people die. Newgate stood in front of Tsunade as if swearing. Yeah, Dad. Tsunade had already lived a lifetime, so although he was very moved, he did not cry. He just hugged Newgate's huge body in emotion. Tsunade, from now on, you can inherit my surname and live a carefree life in this world. And our family will get bigger and bigger in the future, and you will never be unfortunate again. Feeling Tsunade's emotions, Newgate said softly, Yeah, thank you, Dad. Tsunade, who had been unhappy all his life, once again felt what happiness was, and he made up his mind to protect the people he cherished in this life. Dividing line. Everyone, come and assemble. Soon Newgate came to the deck again with Tsunade, shouting excitedly. Marco, who was still a little dazed in the room, was happy when he heard it and immediately came to the deck. Advertisement, Dad. What's wrong? Marco also noticed the woman next to Newgate and asked doubtfully. Gula la la la, Marco, are you here? Come and let me announce it. Seeing Marco's figure, Newgate also laughed boldly. Then he pushed Tsunade beside him out. Gu la la la, Lousy announced today that she is my first daughter. Marco, you need to get along well with your sister. Newgate laughed. Elder sister? Marco yelled subconsciously, and then his head became a little dazed, and his whole body stood there blankly. Tsunade was stunned when she heard the voice of sister. The voice of sister brought out all the sadness buried in her heart. Then, before Marco could react, Tsunade directly hugged Marco in his arms, and Marco's head was directly pressed into his valley by Tsunade. Nawaki. I'm sorry, it's my sister who didn't protect you properly, I'm sorry. Woo-woo. Tsunade finally couldn't stand it any longer. Marco's sister's voice directly destroyed Tsunade's disguise to protect herself. She finally couldn't help crying, her tears welling up with guilt. Nawaki? Tears? Sister, are you crying? Marco heard Tsunade's voice clearly, but he didn't have time to think because Tsunade's valley was too deep, and she hugged Marco hard. So Marco quickly fell into a state of hypoxia. Ooh, sister. Breathe. I can't breathe. Marco struggled to pull himself out of Tsunade's arms. I don't know if it was an illusion, but everyone present actually heard a wave. Ooh. Nawaki, I'm sorry, sister. Although Marco broke away from Tsunade's arms, Tsunade was still there crying. Dad. Sister, this is. Marco looked at Newgate in confusion. Alas. Marco. Your sister's life is so unfortunate. He glanced at Tsunade who was crying over there with distress, and Newgate couldn't help but sigh. However, Newgate did not go up to comfort her. After all, it might be a good choice to let Tsunade vent at this time. So, Newgate also told Marco about Tsunade's death from childhood to adulthood, from relatives to lovers. As for what happened after the age of 18, Newgate did not say. After all, the system things are really hard to explain. Elder sister. After Marco listened to Newgate's story about Tsunade, tears kept rolling in his eyes. He used to think that he was an orphan and had to worry about survival every day. Such a life was already very unfortunate. But now, after learning what happened to Tsunade, he realized that his own experience was nothing. Seeing Tsunade sobbing, Marco also felt very sorry for her. Marco. Newgate suddenly shouted very seriously. Dad. Mal also looked stern when he heard this, because this was the first time he saw his father so serious. I want you to swear. You must protect your sister from now on, even if it means giving your life. Newgate stared at Marco seriously. Yes, Dad. I swear that whoever dares to bully my sister in this life, I will crush them to ashes. If anyone wants to hurt my sister, I will not be the first to agree unless they step over my body. Marco stood up straight with his small body and said with an extremely serious expression. Goo la la la. As expected of my son, Newgate glanced at Marco appreciatively after hearing this, and then changed the topic. Idiot son. As long as Lousy is alive, no one can hurt you. Peeved. Tsunade didn't know when he had calmed down. Looking at his father and brother in this life, how cute they were, he finally burst into tears and smiled. My father and brother are the idiots. I don't need protection, but I want to protect you. Tsunade stretched out his hand and rubbed Marco's pineapple head vigorously, and said seriously. Advertisement. Marco, Newgate, and Tsunade looked at each other and couldn't help laughing. Hee hee. Gu la la la. Ha ha ha. Is this family? Is this what happiness feels like? It feels so good to have family? The three of them thought at the same time. Wow. This island is actually a huge tree. Tsunade stood on the edge of the deck of the Moby D*K and said in shock. Although Tsunade also saw a lot of outrageous things in his previous life, such as tailed beasts, sacred trees and even Shinigami. But, this was the first time she had seen such a thing that a tree was an island. Yes, sister, it's very interesting here. There are also some tools made of bubbles and so on. When it comes to things on the Sabody archipelago, Marco seems to have endless things to say. Goo la la la. Anyway, the coding will take about 6 days. Newgate saw that Tsunade was so interested in Sabody archipelago. He took out a bag of Bailey from behind and threw it at Marco, and said happily. Marco, take your sister to the Sabody archipelago for a walk. After all, you are more familiar with this place. Okay, Daddy. Marco did not refuse, and after putting away Bailey, he took Tsunade off the Moby D*K. Newgate also sat on the deck of the Moby D*K and thought to himself, the system will open Tsunade's attribute panel. Name. Edward Tsunade. Age, 18 years old, potential, SS. Power. S-class, speed. A-class, energy, S-class. Body level. S. Combat technique. Chakra refining technique Wei Li Pain Tien Jiao Healing Jutsu Chakra Scalpel 100 Healings Mark 100 Healings Mark Ninja Art. Meiotic Regeneration Baiao Technique. Ability. None. Evaluation. A member of the Senju clan whose bloodline has not yet awakened, has good potential, but her life is very unfortunate. Close double angle bracket. Damn it. SS level talent, and his current strength is as strong as the peak Vice Admiral. Newgate suddenly became excited when he looked at Tsunade's attribute panel. Originally, he didn't care much about Tsunade's talent. After all, no matter how talented she is, he will never let her get hurt at all in this life. But, now that I see how talented she is, I am naturally very happy for her. After all, as long as Tsunade works hard, she can achieve Admiral level strength, so that she can protect herself in this world. And she has an SS level talent. If Tsunade is really serious about improving her strength, she can have Martial level strength. Hey, what's going on with this strange power? Suddenly, the strange power on Tsunade's attribute panel attracted Newgate's attention. But Newgate soon stopped caring. After all, in his mind, Tsunade's small arms and legs had no strength. The so-called strange strength should be that she is a little stronger than ordinary girls. As everyone knows, in the future, when Tsunade truly shows off his strange power, Newgate's teeth were almost knocked out. He didn't expect that those little arms and legs could burst out with terrifying power, but this is all in the future. Chapter 6. My sister will take you to the top of your life. Sabody Archipelago. Due to the special nature of the Grand Line, the entire Grand Line is divided into two halves by the Red Line. Therefore, if pirates want to go to the second half of the Grand Line, which is the area called the New World, they need to be coated and pass through the Fishman Island, and finally bypass the Red Line and reach the New World. As the closest island to the Fishman Island, this has become the best place for coating. It can be said to be a must-stop for all pirates. Therefore, this island is often visited by pirates, and coating pirates is also an important source of income for many residents. Therefore, the residents of the island are not surprised when they see pirates. Although there are many pirates in the Sabody Archipelago, there are basically no pirates who would cause trouble without being wise. First, Sabody Archipelago is originally an important supply point for pirates. If this island is destroyed, it will not only be bad for them, but other pirates will not agree. If they really want to destroy this island, they will probably suffer. To the joint fight between marine and pirates. The second is that celestial dragons often come to play on the Sabody Archipelago, and it is very close to the naval headquarters, so the Sabody Archipelago is guarded by marines. Combining these two factors, ordinary small pirate groups basically dare not cause trouble. When Newgate and Moby D*K appeared in the Sabody Archipelago, it shocked the entire island. Because Newgate is not that kind of unknown little pirate, but a supernova who is thriving in the New World. It was such a big pirate who was not active in the New World but suddenly appeared in the Sabody Archipelago, which immediately made everyone on the island feel uneasy. At this time, news about Newgate's arrival at Sabody Archipelago also reached naval headquarters. What was that guy doing in the first half of the Grand Line when he wasn't in the New World event? Marine Marshal Kong put down the file with a headache and rubbed his forehead. You must know that there is only one admiral in Marine now, and there are many pirates in New World with terrifying strength. In addition, Rox, the man known as the strongest man in the world, has also become active. Now the only admiral in naval headquarters has been sent to New World went to stabilize the situation. But now at this juncture, Edward Newgate actually appeared in Sabody Archipelago, and suddenly Kong felt that it would be great if he had clone technique. He should have come to change ships. According to our information, he took another ship to the capital of Seven Waters 2 months ago, and now his ship has turned into a huge pirate ship with the appearance of a whale. The beautiful secretary next to her said softly, "If that's the case, they probably want to coat in the Sabody Archipelago and then return to the New World. You should pay more attention to their news and report anything to me as soon as possible." Kong said while rubbing his forehead. "Yes," the beautiful secretary responded. But at this moment, the door to the marshal's office was suddenly pushed open, and a sailor rushed in, saying anxiously, "Report to the marshal. There is an urgent order from the world government." Say. Kong immediately became serious when he heard this. You must know that the appearance of this kind of order is usually accompanied by very important things. Celestial Dragon's Valgista Saint will arrive at Sabody Archipelago tomorrow to participate in the auction there. The world government requires that the safety of Valgista Saint be ensured. The sailor said. Bump, damn celestial dragons. At this time, we still need to send people to protect them? Kong suddenly slapped the table hard and said angrily. Advertisement, be careful. Marshal Kong. The secretary on the side immediately reminded him. The sailor who came to report was also very nervous and quickly acted like he didn't hear anything. Kong also calmed down immediately. After all, the celestial dragons are the world's nobles. If others knew that he was insulting the celestial dragons behind their backs, then his position as marshal would be in jeopardy. In other words, the 3 people present were all his own, otherwise it will be troublesome this time. Inform me Sengoku Vice Admiral. Let him take his men and go to Sabody Archipelago immediately, and be sure to protect St. Valgista. Kong calmed down and took action immediately. As for why Sengoku was chosen, the reason is that there are only 3 people with admiral-level strength in naval headquarters at this time. They are myself, Sengoku and Garp. Needless to say, I have to deal with a mountain of documents every day, so it is impossible for me to go. As for the remaining 2 people, they are both good choices. But Garp is too unreliable, and he is also very willful and will do whatever he wants. If he sees the celestial dragons doing those inhumane things. It's very possible that Garp didn't choose to protect celestial dragons, but simply crushed celestial dragons. But Sengoku will not. He is powerful and has a calm personality. The most important thing is that he obeys orders. As long as he orders him to protect the celestial dragons, no matter what disgusting things the celestial dragons do, Sengoku will definitely be perfect. Complete the task. Kong's order was quickly conveyed to Sengoku. Although he was very reluctant, he still obeyed the order. After receiving supplies, he quickly rushed towards Sabody Archipelago. Back to Tsunade and Marco. Everything on Sabody Archipelago feels very novel to Tsunade. The huge almond mangrove, the architectural style that I have never seen before, the food that is very pirate-like, and the various vehicles made of bubbles. Let Tsunade have a great time. Marco, come on, this is so interesting. Tsunade rode a bubble car and kept speeding on the road. Sister, wait for me, I can't even catch up with you. Marco shouted with difficulty as he followed Tsunade panting. No, Marco, your body is not good enough. You must exercise well, otherwise you will not be able to satisfy your siblings in the future, ha ha ha. Tsunade didn't know when he came to Marco's side, patting him on the shoulder and teasing him. Because he has been living in a lawless place, Marco immediately understood what Tsunade was talking about even though he was only 8 years old. His face turned red all of a sudden and he stammered. No, sister, you are like this after I have been running behind you for so long on a bubble bike. As he spoke, Marco straightened his back unconsciously, showing that he was not weak. Ha ha ha. Seeing Marco's cute look, Tsunade also rubbed his pineapple head dotingly. Yes, our Marco is the strongest, and it's true. After speaking, he tapped Marco's forehead with his finger. This made Marco, who was already blushing, even redder. From a distance, he looked like a red-skinned pineapple. Advertisement. Marco then continued to take Tsunade around. But while walking, Marco suddenly discovered that Tsunade was missing, so he hurriedly went to look for her. Soon Marco found Tsunade, who was standing at the entrance of a casino with gleaming eyes. Seeing Marco coming, he immediately asked excitedly, Marco, how much money do we have? There are still about 1 million Baileys. Marco immediately took out the bag of money given by Newgate and answered with a click. There are so many more. After hearing this, Tsunade immediately stared at Marco's hand with gleaming eyes. Sister, what do you want to do? This is Daddy's money. Seeing Tsunade's malicious eyes, Marco immediately hid the money behind his back and asked defensively. Good brother. Just give me some. Tell your sister that she is the god of gamblers. Seeing that Marco didn't give it, Tsunade immediately said coquettishly to Marco. Real? Marco looked at Tsunade's confident look and suddenly felt that it was true, and gradually let down his guard. What's going on? Tsunade also saw Marco's reaction and suddenly thought to himself. His eyes started to roll, and then he said to Marco with a smile. Marco, what do you think this 1 million Baileys can be used for? Is it impossible to do anything? Can it buy a devil fruit? No, Marco replied. Can I buy a pirate ship? No, Marco continued. Can it help you get to the top of your life? Still not, Marco continued. Then give this 1,000,000 Baileys to my sister now. My sister is the god of gamblers. When my sister earns 1 billion or 80 billion, let's buy 2 devil fruits, eat one and throw one away. Buy 2 pirate ships and burn one, and we can reach the top of our lives from now on, okay? Tsunade used a hint of temptation, suppressing the smile in her heart, and looked forward to the future for Marco. Fooling plus painting a pie. Okay. After hearing this, Marco's eyes flashed with clear stupidity, and he said excitedly, Sister, I will give you this money. Let's go make money quickly. Remember to buy me a better devil fruit. I have to become stronger and protect you and Dad. Good. Looking at the money handed over by Marco, Tsunade immediately took it, but when he heard that Marco wanted to become stronger to protect himself and his father, Tsunade suddenly felt that it was not good for him to fool his brother like this. Snapped. Tsunade quickly slapped himself mentally. F*K. I'm really not a human being. I can go to the casino to play, since I'm thinking about these things? Then Tsunade happily pulled Marco into the casino. Chapter 7 The Loveless Marco. 2 hours later. The sun has been sleepy, slowly falling from the sea level, and the moon and stars have also completed the duty from its hands. Sabody archipelago is gradually lit up with thousands of lights. Although night has fallen, islands like Sabody archipelago, where there are many pirates, have not become deserted because of the fall of night. Night is the best time for drinking and partying, so it has become more lively. You can hear the sound of drinking and partying everywhere. However, 2 figures were standing at the entrance of a certain casino. None other than Marco and Tsunade. At this moment, Marco was standing at the entrance of the casino with dull eyes. Compared to the excitement of Sabody archipelago, Marco felt extremely desolate at this time and murmured, No more, it's all gone. It turns out that after Tsunade's cheating and tricking, Marco innocently gave all his Baileys to Tsunade to play in the casino. And Tsunade, you know, this guy's luck is really shocking. So Marco watched helplessly as Tsunade lost all the Baileys bit by bit. 2 hours, exactly 2 hours. Sister Tsunade didn't win even once. Marco's heart was shattered at this time, and he hated himself for why he believed his sister's lies. Damn god of gamblers. He lost everything in 2 hours. Sister Tsunade. Marco was filled with black energy as if he was about to become a demon at any moment. He asked Tsunade, Aren't you the god of gamblers? Oh. 2 hours. You didn't win a single hand for 2 whole hours, oh. Marco's intestines were filled with regret at this time, and he secretly decided in his heart that he would never believe Sister Tsunade's lies in the future, at least not when it comes to gambling. Must. That. Facing Marco's question, Tsunade's eyes moved away, feeling a little guilty. Look at the moon tonight, it looks pretty good. Tsunade rolled his eyes and tried to change the subject. Don't change the subject. Marco also learned a lot and didn't follow Tsunade's tricks. You're not very lucky today, Tsunade said with a guilty conscience. In fact, she was not unlucky. She had a bad brand, and she would lose every time she gambled. Hearing this, Marco also slowly calmed down. Today's situation is indeed very strange. After all, no one can really win a game in 2 hours. Forget it. If you lose, just lose. I just don't know if I will be scolded by my father when I go back. Marco thought for a moment and shook his head, saying in despair. It's okay. If anything happens when I get back later, I'll take care of it. Tsunade saw Marco no longer pursuing the matter and immediately patted his chest and promised. Advertisement. But it seems that I really can't blame you, sister, for today's situation. It's really weird that you haven't even won a single game. Marco scratched his head in frustration. Until now, he still thought that he would lose money today purely because of Tsunade's bad luck. Yes, I just didn't have good luck today. That's why I lost, Tsunade said with a guilty look in his eyes, and at the same time he secretly thought. That's great. Marco actually thought that I lost money today because of bad luck, so I fooled him first, so that I can trick him again in the future. And then get him to invest again. Tsunade also secretly gave him a thumbs up for his cleverness. Gu tilde tilde tilde. Suddenly a very loud sound came into the ears of the two of them. Marco looked at his sister Tsunade with some confusion. Being stared at by Marco, Tsunade also blushed a little and said, well, I'm hungry, why don't we go home first? After Tsunade said this, Marco suddenly felt hungry. There was no way, after all, the sun had set since noon today. The two of them hadn't eaten anything, and their stomachs were already empty. It was because they were in the casino and the atmosphere inside that they didn't feel hungry. But now they noticed it immediately as soon as they came out, but now they didn't have a dime on them, so they could only walk in the direction of Moby D*K. But not long after the two of them left, several sneaky figures immediately followed them. After all, a woman as young and beautiful as Tsunade with a good figure can be sold at a very good price no matter where she is. So when she was in the casino, a lot of people were already eyeing her, but at first they didn't dare to take action. Why, you ask? The person who can open a casino on the Sabody archipelago is either an underground emperor or world noble, and general casinos will be guarded by people with vice admiral level strength. And slave traders like them would be unparalleled if they had rear admiral level strength. If they had vice admiral level strength, ordinary people would not be slave traders and would have become pirates long ago. After all, how can you make money by selling slaves instead of directly robbing them? So they were all waiting for Tsunade and Marco to leave the casino. Tsunade and Marco walked for a while, and suddenly Tsunade felt that something was not right around him. It seemed to be scary and quiet. Marco. Wait for me here. My sister forgot something. Go back and get it. Tsunade rubbed Marco's pineapple head and said softly. Okay sister, hurry up. Marco also nodded obediently. Although he didn't know what his sister had forgotten, he was willing to wait for her. Yeah. So good. Tsunade also smiled when he heard this, and then quickly disappeared from Marco's eyes. Sister, you are so fast and powerful, advertisement. Seeing his sister disappear in front of his eyes in an instant, Marco immediately admired her. Ah. Help. Spare us. Bump. Just when Marco was still thinking about how to learn something from Sister Tsunade, suddenly a small and strange sound came from the corner behind him. Immediately afterwards, Marco saw Tsunade walking out of the corner. Sister Tsunade, why are you so fast? Ah. I don't want that thing as soon as I think it's not important. Tsunade clapped his hands and said carelessly. Sister Tsunade, I seem to hear a strange noise around the corner just now. Did you hear it? Marco asked with some confusion. No, I just walked out of there. You must be hallucinating. Tsunade said with a smile. All right. Although he was a little skeptical, seeing his sister say this, Marco no longer had any doubts. The two of them continued walking together in the direction of Moby D*K. And in the alley that Tsunade came out of just now, the four men in black were covering their mouths desperately, not daring to make a sound and kneeling on the ground tremblingly. Go back a few minutes. After Tsunade finished talking to Marco, he suddenly appeared in front of the three of them, and then looked at the shocked eyes of the four men in black. Just stuff their captain's head into his butt. You must know that their captain is a peak rear admiral level strongman, but in front of the woman in front of him, he is like a little kunzi. They were immediately frightened and fell to their knees begging for mercy. Seeing that they were about to make a noise, Tsunade punched the ground directly. In their horrified eyes, Tsunade's slender arms suddenly burst out with monster-like power. It was as if Mars hit the earth, and a huge bottomless hole instantly appeared on the ground. Several people looked at the scene in front of them with horrified and dull eyes. They even forgot how to speak and could only hesitantly beg for mercy. Then he made a gesture to shut up, and the three of them immediately covered their mouths, not daring to make any more noise. It wasn't until Tsunade and Marco left for a long time that the three of them disappeared into the darkness. All this happened so fast that Marco had no idea that his sister had solved a problem without even knowing it. Soon the two were back on the deck of the Moby D*K. Chapter 8. Poor Whitebeard. Dad. You have to talk about sister. As soon as Marco saw Newgate, he immediately rushed forward and said aggrievedly. So. Marco immediately told the whole story about how Tsunade defrauded him of his money and then went gambling. Then he said in a cute way, "My sister is really unlucky today. She didn't win a single coin for 2 hours. Pass." Goo la la la. Whitebeard also burst out laughing when he heard this. Seeing that Marco had been deceived and limped, he couldn't help laughing. Others don't know, but he knows. My daughter is not unlucky, she just loses every bet. Newgate smiled and glanced at Tsunade, and Tsunade suddenly kicked the deck with a guilty conscience. Goo la la la. Isn't it just a little Bailey? Dad has plenty, let's go eat. Newgate happily took Marco and Tsunade to dinner. The next day. Dad, I just finished checking Marco's body, now let me check you too. Tsunade came to Newgate's side and said, "Oh?" Newgate raised his eyebrows when he heard this, and he also remembered that his daughter was indeed a person with excellent medical skills, and was called a medical ninja in that world. Goo la la la. How is Marco's health? Newgate did not rush to let Tsunade check his body, but instead asked curiously. That guy is fine, he's just a little malnourished, he'll be fine if he eats more. Tsunade shook his head, then put his hand on Newgate's body, and chakra began to slowly flow into Newgate's body. Dad, don't move too fast. Newgate just felt a warm current flowing through his body. But only 2 minutes later, Tsunade's brows furrowed tightly, as if he was seeing something incredible. What's wrong, Tsunade? Is something wrong? Seeing Tsunade frowning, Newgate also became a little nervous. Although I know that my body's recovery ability is not good, and my fighting style can easily cause hidden diseases, I am only 30 years old, so I should be fine. Newgate thought to himself. Dad, what's going on with your body? Why do you have so many hidden diseases? Tsunade put away his chakra and said with some doubt. How can I have a hidden disease when I'm only 32 years old? Newgate himself couldn't believe it. It should be a problem with your physique, Dad. Because your body is strong enough, you can't detect many hidden diseases, but your body's recovery ability is not good enough to cause this. Tsunade held his chin in thought. I didn't expect my body to have hidden diseases so early. Newgate also frowned and said, is there any way to cure Tsunade's hidden diseases? If we don't deal with these hidden diseases, there will be no way to protect you in the future. It can be cured, but due to your physical condition, Dad, you will develop hidden diseases as long as you fight. It seems that I will have to check your health frequently in the future. Tsunade held his chin in thought, and Dad, you are not allowed to drink from today. Ah! Advertisement. Newgate immediately put on Robin's standard embarrassing face. The whole person seemed to have lost his soul. Can't you drink at all? No, Tsunade said seriously. Because alcohol will slow down the division of cells, Dad, your body's recovery ability is not good. If you drink more, your recovery ability will become even worse. Okay, Daddy, lie down and I will use chakra to heal your body now. After Tsunade let Newgate lie down, he quickly started using healing jutsu on his body. A light green light was seen in her hands, and soon Newgate felt comfortable and screamed. Ah tilde tilde. Newgate only felt a warm current flowing continuously in his body, which was very warm and comfortable. Moreover, the places where the warm current passes become particularly relaxed, as if they were bound by something before, but now all the restraints have disappeared without a trace. An hour passed quickly. Tsunade wiped the sweat from his forehead tiredly, stood up from the ground and said, Okay, Dad. There are too many hidden diseases in your body. Fortunately, they're cured now. Goo la la la. I feel so comfortable now. Newgate immediately jumped up from the ground and laughed loudly. I used to feel that my body was constrained, but now I am completely liberated, it's so relaxing. Newgate was beating happily, feeling the pleasure emanating from his cells. Thanks for your hard work, Tsunade. Newgate happily thanked Tsunade. That's what you should do, Dad, but you will stop drinking from today on, and I will tell all the crew. Tsunade suddenly became serious and said seriously, Ah, you still can't drink. I'm a pirate. Newgate's face turned bitter again after hearing this. Not negotiable. After Tsunade finished speaking, he turned around and told everyone the news that Newgate had given up drinking. That night, because the coding process had already reached the deck, everyone was already on the ground at the port. The gangsters of the pirate group also held a small banquet at the port. I'm telling you, Lord Newgate is really too strong. Can I drink it? the pirate gangsters were also happily chatting and drinking. At this time, Newgate took advantage of the darkness and sneaked into the crowd of people drinking, picked up a bottle of wine and was about to drink it. Sudden advertisement: Lord Newgate, you are not allowed to drink. One of the pirates noticed Newgate, who wanted to drink secretly, and immediately stopped him loudly. Tsunade-sama said, Newgate-sama, your body is not strong enough to recover. You must stop drinking in the future or it will harm you. If it's okay, I'll just drink a little, Newgate said with a smile. No. If we let you drink, Tsunade-sama won't let us go. One after another, the pirates rushed up anxiously to stop Newgate. ****. Do you listen to Tsunade or me? I say you can drink it. When Newgate saw that his wine was about to be taken away, he immediately became anxious. The surrounding pirates suddenly became quiet and stopped saying anything. Newgate also thought they were obedient, so he immediately opened his mouth and wanted to pour wine into them. Dad tilde. At this moment, a very low girl's voice suddenly sounded from behind Newgate. Cough, cough, cough. Newgate was so frightened that he coughed, quickly hid the bottle behind himself, turned around and said in a panic. Tsunade, are you still awake? Dad, I saw this, take out the wine. Tsunade said sullenly. I didn't drink that, Tsunade, I just came here to see them. Boom. Newgate wanted to quibble, but before he could finish speaking, Tsunade squatted down and gently placed his fingers on the ground. Suddenly a thunderous sound sounded, and the surrounding land with a radius of 10 meters was shattered by the terrifying force in an instant. FK. Newgate was immediately stunned, and the wine bottle in his hand fell to the ground without realizing it. Dad, don't drink anymore, do you hear me? Tsunade said seriously. Okay. Newgate nodded stiffly. Newgate was shocked. How could Tsunade's little arms and legs have such terrifying power? It's probably not easy for me to cause such damage, right? Tsunade only needs one finger. The pirates around me all shook their heads helplessly, and secretly said in their hearts, Lord Newgate. It's not that I'm unloyal, but Tsunade-sama is really terrifying. When I think of Tsunade-sama threatening me during the day, at that time, my legs are still weak now. Just because Tsunade-sama's terrifying power hits us, we will definitely be bruised, so I can only feel wrong to you, Newgate-sama. Thinking that the pirates were all minding their own business and drinking. And in Newgate's envious eyes, he even smelled it specially. It smells so good. Chapter 9 Auction. The breeze blew, seeming to take away all the noise, and the soft sunshine gently sprinkled on Newgate's body through the almond mangroves. Because Tsunade detected a hidden health problem, Tsunade strictly prohibited Newgate from drinking alcohol, so Newgate had no choice but to live a healthy life in advance. Spending the whole day either making tea, exercising, or sunbathing, in Tsunade's words, can speed up the absorption of vitamins. Although such a day is quite pleasant, it is too boring for Newgate, who likes excitement. Lord Newgate. At this time, suddenly a pirate gangster rushed over and said, Mr. Newgate heard that there will be an auction on Island 29 today. It is said that devil fruit will appear. Auctions? Newgate's eyes immediately lit up when he heard this. After all, he was too bored, and it would take another day for the Moby D**K to be coded. Goo la la la. I have to go take a look. Now that he finally had something to do, Newgate would not let it go. Dad, why are you so happy? Let's agree first not to drink. At this time, Tsunade came over with Marco and asked with some confusion. No. Newgate immediately shook his head, saying that he didn't know how to drink. After all, he is already a reborn person, and he already knows that there will be sudden hidden diseases in his body in the future. So after Tsunade treated himself and didn't allow himself to drink, although Newgate felt uncomfortable watching others drink, he also knew clearly that he really couldn't drink. There's an auction going on Island 29, and it said there's devil fruit. How about you guys go? Newgate explained excitedly. Auction? X2. I want to go, X2. Tsunade and Marco answered almost simultaneously. For Marco, although he has been living in the Sabody archipelago, he was an orphan before. I almost live a busy life every day, so I never have the chance to attend the auction. But now that I heard that I have the opportunity to go to the auction, I am naturally very happy. Tsunade's words were even simpler. After all, the world here was different from her previous world, and she naturally wanted to see interesting places like auctions. Soon several people had arrived at the door of the auction house. Newgate is indeed a great pirate. No matter where they go, they attract the most attention. As soon as they walked to the door of the auction, they were recognized immediately. Look, isn't that the great pirate Edward Newgate who is active in the New World? Why is he here? Isn't he also here for the devil fruit? Hard to say. Advertisement. The people around looked at Newgate and his party and started talking a lot. That devil fruit. Newgate's hearing was very good. Although those people had lowered their voices when talking, Newgate could still hear them clearly. After hearing what they said, Newgate became a little curious. Judging from the looks of the people around, many people came to the auction today just for the devil fruit. Looks like it might be a good devil fruit, Newgate thought to himself. Holding back his inner curiosity, without any hesitation, Newgate took Tsunade, Marco and the two others and headed towards the auction house. At this time, the two greeters immediately came forward very respectfully. You must know that in this world, strength is respected, and it is also a pirate world famous for its large number of pirates. Therefore, to be able to open an auction house with a particularly strong ability to attract money in such a world is either very powerful or extremely powerful. And even with these two welcoming men, Newgate immediately felt the strength of each other. Rear Admiral level. Newgate was also stunned. Although compared to his own strength, just 2 Rear Admiral level people were not enough to surprise him, but having 2 Rear Admiral level people come to greet the guests. Look. The people behind this auction house are not simple. Lord Newgate. Welcome to this auction house, please follow us to the private room on the 2nd floor. The welcoming guest said very respectfully. You must know that they will be sent by the boss to welcome guests. Firstly, they are quite strong. Secondly, they are smooth in dealing with things and have the appearance of some big shots in mind. The two of them had already recognized each other when Newgate approached the auction house. So as soon as Newgate walked in, he was invited to the 2nd floor. Seeing how sensible the other party was, Newgate nodded with great satisfaction. Then he followed the welcome guests to private room 208 on the 2nd floor. The room is actually not too big, only about 20 square meters. The side close to the auction venue is a huge floor-to-ceiling window. From the private room, you can clearly see everything in the venue through the floor-to-ceiling window. Apart from that, there is only a table and a few sofas. Newgate looked at the sofa, which was obviously several times larger than the sofa used by normal people, and nodded secretly in his heart. Obviously, in order to take care of Newgate's body shape, the other party specially found this room for Newgate to use. If you're so sensible, just buy what you want here, we won't cause trouble. Newgate thought to himself. As time went by, the auction finally began. I saw a beautiful beauty wearing a bikini, slowly walked onto the stage, and said softly, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's auction. I now announce that the auction has officially begun. Now I would like to invite the first one. Auction. Advertisement." And as the beauty's voice fell, a long knife was brought to the stage. Newgate took one look at it and already knew in his heart that it was a long knife. Although the quality was not as good as that of a good quick knife, it definitely reached the level of a quick knife. While Newgate was thinking, the beautiful woman on the stage had already begun her introduction. This is Kue Knife Moon. It is the work of Wanakuna's famous craftsman. Although it is not as sharp as a good Kue Dao, it is still the best among Kue Dao. The starting price now is 100,000 belly, and every increase in price cannot be less than 10,000 belly. As the beautiful auctioneer's voice fell, the audience also heard one after another bidding calls. I offer 110,000 belly. You want to buy a quick knife with 110,000 yuan? I'll pay you 200,000 belly. I'll pay you 230,000 belly, 300,000 baileys. Soon this sharp knife, was snapped up by a middle-aged pirate for 530,000 belly. Although there is a slight price increase, the price of a normal fast knife level knife is generally around 400,000 baileys to 500,000 baileys. But considering that this knife was made by a famous master, it's not a loss. And with the first auction item being snapped up, the auction is getting better and better. Even Newgate and his party took many auction items. Among them, Newgate took some wine and some jewelry. Tsunade took some medicinal materials and a pair of pure gold dice. As for Marco, he took a pair of finger tigers. As for why he patted the finger tiger, it's actually Tsunade's fault. Marco has always been Tsunade's little follower, but after seeing Tsunade's terrifying power and Tsunade's punch, he directly smashed the ground to pieces. Marco also fell in love with this fighting style and often pestered Tsunade to teach him. And Tsunade naturally agreed happily. That's why Marco wanted the pair of finger tigers. At this time, the auction finally reached a critical moment. Next is the grand finale of our auction today, the beautiful auctioneer said mysteriously. And the people around him immediately became energetic. After all, many capable people came here just for this devil fruit. Soon the devil fruit was brought to the stage, and the moment the red cloth on it was pulled open, Newgate's pupils shrank and he said in surprise, "I didn't expect it to be the devil fruit." Chapter 10 Diamond Fruit. Newgate was also surprised when he looked at the devil fruit on the counter, which had a special pattern and shone under the light. Because he knows this devil fruit very well. That was the devil fruit of his son Joe's in his previous life. Paramesha Devil Fruit Diamond Fruit. The protagonist of today's auction is this devil fruit. Almost half of the people's gold today is this devil fruit. Among them are pirates, world nobles, and even people from the world government. After all, this devil fruit is no ordinary weak fruit. The diamond fruit is not only a very powerful devil fruit, but the most important thing is the value of the diamond fruit after its awakening. Just like Doflamingo's string fruit, after awakening, you can turn the surrounding environment into lines. Furthermore, even if the demon fruit power dies, the result of the transformation of an object that has been transformed by devil fruit's power will not change. Just like the people who were petrified by the Empress, the special creatures created by Charlotte Linlin, and the Ice and Fire Island where Aokiji and Akainu dueled. It has changed due to devil fruit's ability. Even if demon fruit power dies, it will not change back. And if diamond fruit really trains it to the point of awakening, it will have almost endless money. That's why this devil fruit is so popular. Newgate was also thinking deeply, and the beautiful auctioneer on the stage was excitedly introducing the devil fruit. As you can see, the finale of today's auction is this diamond fruit. I believe everyone knows the value of this devil fruit. The starting price is now 1 billion Baileys, and each increase in price must not be less than 100 million Baileys. As the beautiful auctioneer finished speaking, the entire auction became excited. I offer 1.5 billion belly. I offer 1.6 billion belly. If you don't have money, don't come and join in the fun, I'll pay you 3 billion belly. Quote. Quote. In just the past few minutes, the price of this diamond fruit has been rising, from the starting price of 1 billion belly to 3 billion belly. And this is not the final price of this devil fruit, because there are still a lot of people bidding, and the value of the diamond fruit is still rising rapidly. Seeing the price of diamond fruits rising rapidly, Newgate also frowned. Because he also wanted to get this devil fruit, after all, he could use it when he adopted Josie as his son in the future. Advertisement. But now the value of this devil fruit has soared so fast, and their pirate group Pele only has about 5 billion. Of course, with Newgate's ability, the amount of money gained on the sea will definitely be more than this. But Newgate was so generous that he distributed a lot of his property to his men. So now if he wants to win this devil fruit, Newgate has no idea at all. Dad, do you want this devil fruit? Tsunade looked at his father's frown and asked aloud. Uh-huh. Newgate nodded, indicating that he was right, then shook his head and said, I really want to take this devil fruit, but there are only 5 billion belly left in the pirate group, which seems to be not enough. Haha. Why hollow down pointing triangle? Tilde asterisk cover your mouth and snicker. Dad, have you forgotten what your profession is? Tsunade looked at Newgate's serious look and couldn't help but snicker. What profession? Of course I am a pirate. When Newgate heard this, he wanted to refute, but suddenly his head seemed to have a flash of lightning, and his mind suddenly became clear. Goo la la la. Tsunade, if you didn't tell me, I would have forgotten. I am a pirate, just grab whatever you want. After figuring it out, Newgate immediately laughed boldly. Marco. Tsunade. Remember to carefully observe who took the photo of the devil fruit. After all, it would not be a good idea to take my devil fruit. Goo la la la. Newgate originally planned to rush directly to the auction venue to grab the devil fruit. But, when he thought that others were so sensible and had taken good care of his arrival, Newgate immediately gave up the idea and instead planned to rob the person who bought the devil fruit. Pay 4.5 billion belly. I want the devil fruit of 5 billion Baileys. Advertisement, I'm offering 6 billion belly, and here is Captain Volibear with 150 million belly. Please give me some face. Soon this devil fruit was also pushed to 5 billion Baileys, which has reached the price of the general top devil fruit. But this was a diamond fruit, so a pirate wearing a bear skin immediately stood up and directly offered the price to 6 billion belly. Moreover, he also revealed his name and wanted to use it to win this devil fruit. But his calculation was obviously wrong. No one here today is simple. Either he is a famous big pirate, or he is a world noble. Just a little pirate with 150 million belly, it is impossible to make them timid. On the contrary, the price is raised faster, 7 billion belly. 7.5 billion Baileys, 9 billion Baileys, 11 billion belly? In the end, the price of this devil fruit was fixed at an astonishing 11 billion belly, and it was taken by an unknown nobleman. The final transaction price of the diamond fruit was 11 billion Baileys, which was completely beyond the price of the devil fruit. You must know that the price of the top Logia devil fruit or the Fantasy Beast devil fruit is only about 5 billion belly. And now this diamond fruit has been sold for 11 billion Baileys. Although this devil fruit can bring endless wealth after awakening. But this also requires awakening. The entire pirate world is so big, how many people have actually trained devil fruit to the point of awakening? If nothing else, the people Newgate knows who can train devil fruit to awaken in the future are Marine San Admiral, Shichibukai's Doflamingo, and several other powerful people. Looking at the excited noble who successfully photographed the diamond fruit, Newgate also shook his head, somewhat unaware of the thoughts of these rich people. And after seeing the noble getting the diamond fruit, he turned and walked towards the door of the auction house. Newgate couldn't help but reveal a meaningful smile, and then quickly walked out of the private room and walked towards the door of the auction house. Chapter 11 Road Robbery. After getting the diamond fruit, the nobleman who bought the diamond fruit happily walked towards the port under the protection of the guards, wanting to leave the island as quickly as possible. Although he bought the devil fruit at the auction house, he is not stupid. After all, this is the pirate world, no matter where it is in the world. Every day, countless people flock to the sea to become pirates, but what do pirates do for a living? Of course it was a robbery, and there were so many pirates at the auction today, and he didn't believe that he wasn't being targeted. It turned out that his guess was not wrong. Newgate stepped out of the auction house before the nobleman, and he also stepped out of the auction house behind him, hiding in the dark and following quickly. However, he was not in a hurry to take action because he also sensed that there were countless pairs of eyes staring at the noble in the dark. It seems that a lot of people are already eyeing this diamond fruit. No, it's better to strike first. But seeing that the noble was about to board the ship, Newgate secretly thought to himself and rushed out. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of the noble. Who? Newgate's sudden appearance also frightened the group of guards. They immediately protected the nobles behind them and looked at Newgate warily. No. It's Edward Newgate. Take action quickly or this devil fruit will be snatched away by this guy. The people who were observing secretly became anxious the moment they saw Newgate, and rushed towards him one by one with long knives in their hands. Goo la la la. It's not a good idea to take my devil fruit away like that. As he spoke, Newgate waved his hand and knocked away several guards. Then, under the horrified gaze of the noble, he took the treasure chest containing devil fruit directly from his arms. Edward Newgate. Keep the diamond fruit, otherwise don't blame us for being rude. But by the time Newgate finished all this, he was surrounded by pirates who were eyeing him. After all, they all came here for the diamond fruit, and no one wanted to leave empty-handed. Although they have also heard of Edward Newgate's name. But after all, they haven't been to New World yet. With the support of the number of people, they all stared at Newgate with confidence. Dad. No. Let's go and save Dad. Marco was immediately very anxious when he saw Newgate being surrounded. Marco. Wait here. I'm going to save Dad. Advertisement. Tsunade didn't understand Conqueror's Haki yet, so he looked worried when he saw Newgate being surrounded. Ha ha ha. You underestimate Mr. Newgate. Just stay here and watch Mr. Newgate's Kamui. This is not a problem for Mr. Newgate at all. The two pirate minions were not worried at all. Instead, they comforted Tsunade and Marco with confidence. After all, they have been following Newgate for a long time, so they naturally know Newgate's strength. Hearing this, Tsunade and Marco also calmed down. They were too worried just now, and now they carefully observed their father's appearance. My father looks completely confident. Where is the slightest hint of anxiety or timidity? Goo la la la. Do you want to defeat me with just this number of people? Are you looking down on me too much? I am Edward Newgate? Newgate said with a very heroic smile. Don't be too arrogant, Edward Newgate. There are big pirates here with hundreds of millions of bounties on their heads. As long as you hand over the diamond fruit, we will let you go. Seeing Newgate's confident look, the pirates around him felt a little guilty, but after all, there were so many of them, so they still spoke stiffly. Goo la la la. They're just a bunch of rubbish that don't even know Haki. Let me show you the power of New World today. Newgate said with a heroic smile, and then a terrifying Conqueror's Haki came out directly from his body. Buzz buzz. Crackling. Originally, even Newgate at the peak of his previous life, Conqueror's Haki was unable to reach the level of physical damage. But, after his rebirth, Newgate's ambitions have become bigger, and Conqueror's Haki has also improved to a higher level. The Conqueror's Haki released by Newgate is the same as that of red-haired Shanks. It is so powerful that it can even absorb the surrounding objects, to the point of harm. Crackling. The surrounding buildings and house floors all let out shrill wails. Although he said a lot, it only lasted for a moment, and the entire port seemed to have pressed the pause button. All the pirates stood there blankly, and suddenly a breeze blew by. Thump. Thump. The sounds of falling were heard one after another, and Newgate actually knocked down all the pirates present in an instant. Advertisement. How is it possible? What kind of power is this? Only one who was slightly stronger was still persisting, but after saying that, he finally couldn't hold on and fainted. Awesome. Dad is so awesome. Marco looked in the direction of Newgate like a little fanboy. Dad defeated everyone in an instant. What power is this? Tsunade was relatively strong. Although Newgate's Conqueror's Haki was not targeting her, she still felt something unusual. That's Conqueror's Haki. It's a symbol of being a king. It's said that only one person in a million has such qualifications. The pirates also had shining eyes, looking at Newgate with admiration. Conqueror's Haki. Tsunade's eyes also lit up, and he looked thoughtfully in the direction of Newgate. Dad, you are so awesome. Marco rushed to Newgate with admiration and said. Goo la la la. This is less than 1/10 of my strength. Newgate was also very happy after hearing Marco's praise. Lord Newgate. Should we go? The pirates also came over and said to Newgate. Let's go back to the Moby D*K first. Newgate looked around at the people lying unconscious on the ground, and nodded in agreement. After all, the fuss was indeed a bit big. Moreover, he had snatched the devil fruit on the street. It is estimated that Marine had also received the news. If he didn't leave early, he might really be in trouble. After all, Sabody archipelago is too close to naval headquarters. You can't leave. It's true that whatever you're afraid of comes. Newgate just thought that if the terrifyingly powerful Marine came over, he would be in trouble. As a result, as soon as he finished speaking, Marine came. Following a burst of neat footsteps, a familiar figure came into Newgate's eyes. Chapter 12 Rival. Tsunade's Sengoku, Goo la la la. Who do I think this is? Isn't this the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, Sengoku Vice Admiral? Newgate turned to look at the person who came, and suddenly couldn't help laughing. Speaking of which, Sengoku and I have always been enemies and friends. This relationship is very similar to the relationship between Garp and Roger. Although I am reborn now, I still feel very nostalgic when I think back on it. Sengoku looked at the way Newgate looked at him and suddenly felt a little strange, but he didn't think much about it. He shook his head and said, Whitebeard, you don't stay in New World, but you come to Sabody archipelago to cause trouble. Today you all will give, I'll capture you without any hesitation. Goo la la la. That's not possible. I'm looking for family to start a family of my own. How about we make friends and you let us go? Newgate said indifferently. Hole. Are you kidding me? First I'm Marine and my mission is to catch criminal pirates like you. Seeing Newgate's indifferent expression, Sengoku suddenly became angry and turned ugly. Then there's nothing more to say. Newgate and Sengoku instantly released their terrifying aura when they disagreed. Buzz buzz. Newgate and Sengoku's Conqueror's Haki were constantly colliding. The situation suddenly changed and the air seemed to freeze, which was very depressing. During the collision of the Conqueror's Haki on both sides lost control. The marine soldiers brought by Sengoku, the two pirate minions from Newgate, and little Marco were all affected and fainted. Passed. Sengoku is one of the few Conqueror's Haki owners in Marine, although his Conqueror's Haki is rarely used. But definitely not weak. Newgate, who had many interactions with Sengoku in his previous life, naturally knew very well that he could not suppress him on Conqueror's Haki. After seeing one of their own being affected by Conqueror's Haki, Sengoku and Newgate looked at each other. Immediately, the two men understood and took back Conqueror's Haki. Newgate was about to bully him. Suddenly a white and tender arm stopped Newgate. Dad. You should fight less for your body. I also want to try what I can do in this world. Tsunade you. Hearing this, Newgate was also stunned for a moment, but when he thought of Tsunade's power that was even stronger than his own, he laughed loudly. Gu la la la. Then I leave it to you. Then Newgate took the two pirate minions and Marco and gave the battlefield to Tsunade. Advertisement. Who are you? Sengoku asked with some confusion when he saw that Newgate believed in Tsunade's strength so much. I'm Daddy's girl. Edward Tsunade, please give me your advice. Tsunade said, neither humble nor haughty. Advice is not a big deal. I just want to arrest you and bring you to justice. As Sengoku spoke, his entire body instantly grew larger and turned into a golden Buddha. Big Buddha on top. Then, with lightning speed, Sengoku's golden arm slapped Tsunade directly from top to bottom. I saw Tsunade motionless and was directly slapped to the ground by Sengoku. Suddenly, a huge deep pit appeared where Sengoku's huge palm landed. The surrounding land also collapsed layer by layer. After Sengoku took his hand away, Tsunade was lying lifeless in the pit covered in blood. However, Sengoku did not let down his guard, because his observation Haki had already sensed something strange. F*K. Sengoku. How dare you kill Laozi's daughter? Newgate originally thought it would be fun to see Sengoku's surprised look at his daughter's terrifying power. Suddenly, he saw Tsunade being slapped flat in the pit. He couldn't hold himself any longer, and his eyes almost flew out of his head in surprise. But it's also because Newgate's concern leads to chaos. If he uses observation Haki to perceive, he will find that the Tsunade in the pit has no life breath at all. What the hell is your name? Didn't you notice something was wrong with Tsunade in the pit? Sengoku complained helplessly, and then began to be wary of his surroundings. So far so good. After Sengoku's reminder, Newgate also realized that there was indeed something wrong with the Tsunade in the pit. And just when they were confused, pung! The Tsunade in the pit turned into a wooden pile after a burst of smoke, lying quietly in the pit. At this time, Tsunade's body has appeared above Sengoku's head. It hurts the legs. Tsunade raised his foot high and slammed it down on Sengoku's head. Well done. Sengoku's eyes flashed, and he instantly sensed the danger coming from behind. In an instant, he turned around and grabbed Tsunade's painful leg. Advertisement, bump. Bump. Two violent collision sounds were heard, the first being the collision of Sengoku's arm and Tsunade's foot. The second sound was the sound of Sengoku falling to his knees directly under this terrifying power. What? Sengoku looked at Tsunade's petite body with disbelief. He never imagined that such a petite body could burst out with such strong power. In fact, if we only look at strength, both Tsunade and Sengoku are at S level, and they are almost on the same level. Although there will be differences between high and low, it is absolutely impossible to be like now, with Sengoku being suppressed by Tsunade. As for the reason, that's chakra. Tsunade's strange power is not only his own strength, but also the use of chakra. This is the ability of the Senju clan. They can precisely control chakra and concentrate it on any part of the body, and then burst out a powerful airflow that can easily break walls. Under Tsunade's powerful power and the use of chakra, Sengoku knelt down on the spot. Gu la la la, Sengoku, what are you doing? You knelt down in front of my daughter when we first met. Do you want to be my grandson? Newgate, who was watching the battle on the sidelines, was immediately happy after seeing Sengoku being suppressed like this by Tsunade. I felt like I had seen famous scenes, but it was a pity that I couldn't record them. Hateful. Buddha's impact. Sengoku cursed inwardly, and then released a shock wave with his other hand, pushing himself out of Tsunade's attack range. Boom. Without a point of stress, Tsunade's foot landed directly on the ground, making a terrifying sound, and the surrounding ground of 50 meters was directly destroyed into pieces. Nima. Is this a normal person? Seeing Tsunade's terrifying destructive power, Sengoku couldn't help but have a headache. I don't believe you can always have such destructive power. Sengoku thought to himself, and then his body instantly wrapped around armament Haki, and quickly rushed towards Tsunade. Chapter 13. Go to the Fishman Island. Bump. Bump. Sengoku and Tsunade's bodies kept colliding with each other. According to Sengoku's opinion, it is not scientific at all that Tsunade's petite body can burst out with such terrifying power and destructive power. There must be some limit, so Sengoku gritted his teeth and started fighting with Tsunade. But after playing dozens of rounds, he suddenly discovered that Tsunade didn't feel tired at all, and was even playing with more and more energy. In fact, Sengoku was right. The first point of using strange power is the precise use of chakra. The second is that a large amount of chakra needs to be consumed. But, don't forget what clan Tsunade is a descendant of. Senju clan. Although the chakra of the Senju clan is not like that of the Uzumaki clan, chakra is calculated in tons. But, the amount of chakra of the Senju clan also far exceeds that of ordinary people. And the most important thing is that Tsunade has 1/4 of the Uzumaki family blood. Therefore, her chakra capacity is among the best among the Senju clan. Just the amount of chakra consumed by using monster power, Tsunade said, is just a waste. I'm going. It hurts me so much. Sengoku shook his fist, which was already red and swollen, and asked helplessly. How can you keep bursting out with such terrifying power? Isn't there no consumption at all? Consumption? Is there any? Tsunade shook his head a little cutely when he heard this and said, but with that little consumption, I can fight with you all day long. Sengoku was stunned when he heard this. After all, his original idea was to consume Tsunade's physical strength, but who knew Tsunade could be so strong? No, if you continue like this, you will lose. She is too powerful, but she has never used Haki's ability. It seems that she can't Haki. After a short battle, Sengoku finally noticed Tsunade's weakness. That means not using Haki. Thinking of this, Sengoku didn't hesitate at all, and clasped his hands together, making a look of compassion. Then his eyes widened and he yelled angrily, "The Buddha is coming." As Sengoku's voice fell, Sengoku's right hand formed into a palm and moved back to accumulate strength. Crackling. Suddenly a black lightning burst out from his palm. Thunder and lightning. Seeing this scene, Tsunade was immediately shocked, and the same strong sense of crisis suddenly surged into her heart. Sengoku, on the other hand, could not hold back and immediately arrived in front of Tsunade, slapping Tsunade hard on the face with his palm. Tsunade wants to use the body replacement technique again. But, advertisement suddenly a special wave rushed towards Tsunade, and Tsunade was in a trance. Not good. It's Conqueror's Haki's power. Tsunade was suddenly shocked. Although Conqueror's Haki could not make her unconscious, this sudden Haki made her feel dazed. By the time Tsunade came to his senses, Sengoku's attack had almost landed on Tsunade. Succeeded. Looking at Sengoku, who was in a daze, he was also happy, and secretly said in his heart, I guessed right, she doesn't know how to Haki. Bump. There was a violent collision, but the smile on Sengoku's face stopped abruptly. The scene in front of him was different from what he imagined when he successfully hit Tsunade and Tsunade lost the ability to fight. The person who appeared in front of him was Edward Newgate. Crackling. Black lightning burst out from Newgate's fist and collided fiercely with Sengoku. But what is surprising is that the two attacks did not come into contact at all. It was as if there was an invisible force constantly colliding and rubbing between the two. At the intersection where the two fists collided in the air, a black collision point was formed. It contained terrifying power, and as the two collided, energy kept pouring out. The two of them have no contact. When Tsunade on the side saw this scene, he was extremely shocked. Because she couldn't understand this attack at all, it was obvious that the fists and palms of the two people did not touch each other. But there was a fierce collision, crackling. Sengoku, you shameless old B********************************** D. You used Conqueror's Haki to harass and bully an 18-year-old girl. Newgate couldn't help but cursed loudly. Sengoku's face turned slightly red when Newgate said it. After all, Newgate was right. In terms of age, he was already 37 years old, while Tsunade was only 18 years old. He even used Conqueror's Haki to entangle her against her. However, Sengoku naturally couldn't lose to Newgate in terms of momentum, so he immediately said harshly, "Luosuo. You are pirates. You will do whatever it takes to catch pirates. Well, you old B********************** D is getting more and more shameless." Upon hearing this, Newgate immediately became furious. Then he dropped the Conqueror's Haki in his hand, rushed forward, grabbed Sengoku's beard and pulled it down hard. See? The pain suddenly caused Sengoku to take a breath, but he did not stop his movements and directly grabbed Newgate's hair without any disadvantage. "It hurts me so much, you old B************************** D. You actually pulled my hair." Newgate angrily pushed his head over and said angrily, "You have a coffin face. It was obviously you who pulled my beard first." Advertisement Sengoku didn't suffer at all. He pushed Newgate's head back and said angrily, "Old B******************** D. Coffin face." The two of them were fighting each other like shrews. Look at the two of them. Tsunade also covered his face helplessly, really unable to see. The fight between Sengoku and Newgate was getting more and more outrageous, with eye piercing and crotch removal being as sinister as possible. Finally, an hour later, the two separated angrily. "Are you still beating me, old B************** D?" Newgate smoothed down his messy beard that was rubbed by Sengoku and said. Due to the habits of his previous life, Newgate liked the crescent-shaped Whitebeard, so after his rebirth, he began to grow a beard, and now it has begun to take shape. "It might be my responsibility to catch pirates." Sengoku suddenly put away his funny aura, and instead stared at Newgate with burning eyes, as if he was going to devour him at some moment. Although the two have always been enemies and friends. But the two of them are from different camps after all, so there is no such thing as showing mercy. If given the chance, Sengoku would definitely arrest Newgate as soon as possible. "Are you sure? Are you going to continue even if your subordinates lose their lives?" Newgate glanced at Tsunade as he spoke, and Tsunade understood instantly. In an instant, he came to the side of a sailor and raised his feet. Newgate's meaning is very obvious. If Sengoku continues to pester, then it is up to him to hold Sengoku back. Tsunade, on the other hand, directly slaughtered the unconscious sailors. Seeing this scene, Sengoku also fell into silence. After a long time, Sengoku seemed to be discouraged and said feebly, "Let's go." In this case, it is naturally impossible for Sengoku to continue fighting. After all, his strength is almost the same as Newgate's. It is impossible to capture Newgate in a short time, and after Tsunade has killed all his men and frees up his hands, he will definitely be defeated. Gula lala. That's right, Sengoku will treat you to a drink next time. Tsunade, let's go home. Upon hearing this, Newgate immediately greeted Tsunade happily and left here. One might wonder why Newgate doesn't tackle Sengoku here. Mainly because it's not necessary. After all, it's still unclear whether Sengoku can be captured. Even if Sengoku is really captured, it will only cause greater trouble if it is so close to the naval headquarters. When Newgate and his party excitedly brought them back to the Moby D***K, the coating on the Moby D***K was finally completed. Little ones, Let's set sail. Newgate didn't hesitate at all and immediately ordered to head towards the Fishman Island. Chapter 14 Appalling Reward Order. As Newgate's order was issued, the Moby Dick's sails slowly unfolded. Then the entire pirate ship began to slowly sink into the water. As he spoke, the current began to rush towards the Fishman Island. How amazing! The ship can actually sail in the sea. It can also breathe in the sea. Tsunade looked at the surrounding scenery that could only be seen under the ocean, and suddenly felt very novel. Goo la la la. There are still many magical things in this world. There are deep holes on the sea level that will never be filled. The Elephant Master is so huge that it looks like an island. Islands floating in the sky. Wait, Newgate suddenly said excitedly. Although his purpose and dream of going to sea is to find his family. But the scenery and adventure along the way also interested Newgate very much. Then it seems that I have another dream in this world. After listening to Newgate's story, Tsunade was immediately very curious and looking forward to seeing these strange landscapes. Goo la la la, and the other side, Naval Headquarters. Sengoku has returned to Naval Headquarters Marineford with his men. He walked toward the Marshal's office in a state of embarrassment. At this time, Marshal Naval Headquarters, Vice Admiral Garp and others were having a meeting inside. Sengoku opened the door and walked in. Sengoku, what are you doing? Kong was about to get angry when he saw the door to his office being pushed open. As a result, he turned around and saw Sengoku, who was in a state of embarrassment, and asked with some confusion. Sengoku did not speak when he heard this, but clenched his fists tightly. After all, he was in such a mess today, and he originally wanted to catch Edward Newgate. As a result, he didn't expect that there would be such a powerful daughter beside him. Drink ha 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 ha. Sengoku, you're making me laugh. What's wrong with your hair and beard? You won't fall into the sea, right? When Garp saw Sengoku's appearance, he immediately grinned without any scruples, covered his stomach and laughed. In an instant, the serious atmosphere in the Marshal's office was broken. Advertisement. When the others saw Sengoku's embarrassed look, they all couldn't help covering their mouths and started laughing. Garp. Sengoku glanced at Garp angrily and said angrily, I'm in a bad mood right now, don't mess with me. What happened to Sengoku? Didn't you go out to chase Newgate? How did it happen? Kong also asked doubtfully. Forget it, Edward Newgate's pirate group has become very troublesome now. Sengoku thought of the strength of Newgate and Tsunade, and suddenly said seriously. Then Sengoku told everything that happened on Sabody archipelago. 2 admiral classes? Sengoku, are you sure? Kong was also shocked by Sengoku's words. You must know that a pirate group has an admiral level, plus several vice admiral level cadres. Such a pirate group can already become a super pirate group. And now, Edward Newgate's pirate group actually has an additional admiral class. In this case, his pirate group will have 2 admiral class. Although there are no vice admiral level cadres, there are so many admiral level cadres. In the face of true strength, 10 vice admirals are no match for 1 admiral. In that case, Edward Newgate's pirate group is indeed very dangerous. Garp also realized the seriousness of this matter and put his chin on his hand as he thought. Does Sengoku have a portrait of the new admiral? Kong asked. As he spoke, Sengoku took out the printed portrait from his waist and slapped it directly on the table. Immediately, Kong and Garp stretched their heads over curiously, and were even more surprised when they saw a petite 18-year-old girl. Sengoku, you said this little girl has admiral-level combat power? Garp picked his nose and said contemptuously, that's right. Sengoku nodded when he heard this and said seriously, I am very sure that she definitely has admiral-level combat power. Explanation here, some people may be confused. Tsunade's comprehensive level is the peak vice admiral, but the strength shown is admiral level. In the author's setting, all attributes must reach S or above to be called admiral level, and Tsunade happened to meet an admiral class like Sengoku who relied on strength to fight, so he had admiral class combat power. If he met Kizaru, Tsunade would be too slow and would not be able to fight back. And he is so powerful that I was completely at a disadvantage in a head-on confrontation. Sengoku originally wanted to tell the specific situation, but when he thought about the first blow he had with Tsunade, he was knocked to his knees. his face suddenly turned red, so he changed his words and said tactfully. Advertisement after all, this unreliable guy Garp is here. If he knew that he was beaten to his knees, this guy would definitely laugh at himself for the rest of his life. Sengoku thought to himself. That's right, and the most important thing is that she is slower and can't Haki. Sengoku suddenly said seriously as if he remembered something. No, Haki actually has admiral level strength. I always feel like a terrifying guy will appear in this sea in the future. When Kong heard that Tsunade didn't know how to Haki, his face suddenly became serious. After all, Tsunade is too young, only 18 years old, and she still possesses terrifying power. No one can say what kind of strength she will eventually achieve if she is allowed to fully grow up. Put a reward on it, it's time to update Edward Newgate's reward. Kong said with a headache. How much bounty do you think is appropriate? 1.5 billion Baileys. Sengoku touched his chin and thought. Edward Newgate's strength has firmly reached the admiral level, which is almost as good as mine. Yeah, Edward Newgate is indeed worthy of this price. Kong also nodded and agreed when he heard this. What about Edward Tsunade's bounty? Kong turned to look at Sengoku again. After all the people present, only Sengoku had fought with her and knew her best. As for her reward order, it seems that the first reward should not be too high. Sengoku also fell into deep thought after hearing this, and then said, although her power is powerful, her speed is relatively slow. Sengoku muttered, and finally with a flash of light in his eyes, he wrote a series of numbers on his desk. Just 3 days later, the bounty orders for Edward Newgate and Edward Tsunade are newly released. As the captain, Edward Newgate's bounty was increased to 1.5 billion belly. As for Tsunade, she was the first person to receive a bounty, and her bounty amount was astonishingly high. 1 billion Baileys. A whole billion Baileys. For a time, this terrifying number caused an uproar on the sea. In a tavern on an island in the New World, a man with hair like a hedgehog held the bounties for Newgate and Tsunade and said with great interest, Edward Newgate, Edward Tsunade. Chicken ha 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 ha. Funny guy, I decided that I want these two people to be my subordinates. Immediately, the man put down the reward and rowed a small boat in the direction of the Fishman Island. Newgate and others were completely unaware of all this. They were still sailing towards the Fishman Island at a depth of about 9,000 meters under the sea. Chapter 15 The Fishman Island, 9,000 meters below sea level. The consequence of this terrifying depth is the terrifying pressure of the seawater. The newly coated Moby D*K seemed to be blending with a huge bubble, and there were spaces held up by the bubbles in many places. But, as the Moby D*K reached a depth of 9,000 meters on the seabed, the terrifying seawater pressure directly pressed the bubbles tightly against the ship. People walking on it seemed to be wearing a smooth tights. And as the depth increases, the surrounding area has become extremely dark. At a depth below 9,000 meters, the seawater blocks almost all sunlight, and the darkness seems to swallow up the Moby D*K. Woo! Newgate looked at the dark depths of the ocean floor, and strange sounds came from time to time. Suddenly, an inexplicable fear directly entered the hearts of everyone on the Moby D*K. Nature is so scary, although this is not the first time I have gone to the Fishman Island, but every time I face this deep sea, I will unconsciously feel scared. Newgate said with some sigh. Dad, at this time, Tsunade came over and asked anxiously, how long will it take to arrive at the Fishman Island? What's wrong? Newgate looked at Tsunade with some confusion. Because the terrifying water pressure at the bottom of the sea has compressed the air on the ship. We are stronger and may be fine, but Marco and other subordinates are beginning to have difficulty breathing at this time. Tsunade said, just wait a little longer, it should be soon. Newgate nodded and said, in fact, Newgate doesn't know where he is now or how long he is away from the Fishman Island. After all, if you set out from the Sabody archipelago, you only need to follow the current. Under the influence of the current, you don't even need to control the ship, you just need to let it drift by itself. So most people don't remember where they are. I drifted along with the current for about 2 hours. The symptoms of hypoxia among Marco and others were getting more and more serious, and Tsunade was so busy that he started to sweat. A dazzling light suddenly came from a distance. In this extremely dark seabed, this light instantly attracted everyone's attention. At this time, the Moby D*K's sailing direction was exactly in the direction from which the light came. Goo la la la. The Fishman Island has finally arrived. Newgate said loudly. As the distance increases, the full view of the Fishman Island comes into view. The surrounding environment also lit up completely. I saw two huge bubbles connected to each other floating on the huge submarine plane. And what is wrapped inside the bubble is a very beautiful island. Is this the Fishman Island? Isn't this too dreamy? Advertisement. Tsunade looked at the Fishman Island in front of him and was immediately amazed, with countless little stars twinkling in his eyes. There are actually islands below 10,000 meters under the sea. Marco, who was originally weak due to lack of oxygen, looked at the island in front of him with gleaming eyes. But why is there sunlight deep under the sea? Tsunade looked up in the direction of the sun and said with some confusion. That's because of Yangshu Eve, Newgate suddenly explained. Yangshu Eve? Tsunade said with some confusion. Yes, Sun Tree Eve can absorb sunlight from the sea and then release it through its roots. Newgate explained. Doesn't that mean that the tree is at least 10,000 meters tall? Tsunade's eyes were full of curiosity, and his eyes widened when he heard Newgate's words. Who knows? But since there are islands 10,000 meters deep under the sea, is it not surprising that there are trees 10,000 meters high? Newgate said carelessly. Makes sense. Hearing this, Tsunade also nodded. Looking at the Fishman Island in front of him, Newgate also fell into memories. The Fishman Island at this time is much more chaotic than the Fishman Island 40 years later. After all, in the future, with its own shelter and its own flag planted on the Fishman Island, some slave traders and pirates would not dare to cause trouble at all. But, it's different now. At this time, the Fishman Island was not protected by anyone, so the slave traders had no scruples at all. For money, they often came to the Fishman Island to catch mermaids. The pirates who passed by often made trouble and robbed. Therefore, both the mermaids and the fishmen on the Fishman Island at this time have a very serious resistance to humans. The more serious ones even hate humans and want to go to war with them. The Fishman Island is a bit chaotic at this time. Newgate sighed and said, I don't know what happened to that kid Jinbe. As he spoke, Moby D*K had already entered the Fishman Island. In an instant, the surrounding fishmen also immediately discovered the existence of Moby D*K, and each one of them cast a wary look. Some people have even taken out their weapons and want to attack Newgate and the others. However, this idea was quickly extinguished by themselves. Because two very familiar faces stepped off the Moby D*K. It's Edward Newgate, and Edward Tsunade. The reward orders for the two of them had been spread to the Fishman Island 2 days ago. So when Newgate took Tsunade and Marco off the ship, they recognized them. Advertisement, come to life. As soon as he set foot on the Fishman Island, Marco immediately jumped up with joy. Because he was too weak, the air was compressed under the strong seawater pressure, causing Marco to have difficulty breathing. This symptom disappeared only after he finally went to the Fishman Island. However, as Newgate and his party walked forward, after encountering them, the surrounding fishmen all avoided them as if they were avoiding the god of plague. How is that possible? They seem to be very afraid of us. Marco said with some confusion. Especially dad and sister. As soon as you look at it, they will immediately run away in fear. Just ask someone and you will know. Tsunade said as he stared at an octopus fishman who was trying to escape, and came behind him in a flash. Caught him. Tsunade-sama, please forgive me. The captured octopus man immediately knelt down in fear and begged for mercy. How do you know my name? Tsunade asked with some confusion. Don't you know, Tsunade-sama? The reward order for you and Newgate-sama has been spread. The entire the Fishman Island should know about it now. The octopus fishman said with some trepidation. Reward order? Do you have any more over there? Give me 2? Tsunade asked in a slightly threatening tone. You, please don't kill me. The octopus man almost used his fastest speed to pull out 2 bounty orders from behind and handed them to Tsunade. Dad. I already know the reason. It seems that our reward order has arrived at the Fishman Island in advance. Tsunade didn't even look at the reward notices, and casually handed the 2 reward notices in his hand to Newgate. Marco was also curious and stretched his neck to watch. Huh, sister, you are so awesome. A moment later, Marco's jaw dropped in shock. A bounty of 1 billion Baileys. Marco looked at Tsunade with admiration. Sister, your bounty should be the highest among all pirates. It's even higher than Dad. Really? That feels pretty good. Although Tsunade didn't care, Tsunade was a little happy to hear Marco say that. No wonder they all go around Dad and sister. The bounty for you too is too high. Marco looked like I understood. Gula la la la. She is indeed my daughter. Seeing that his daughter had such a high reward for the first time, Newgate was also sincerely happy. After this little episode, Newgate and his party no longer cared about those who were hiding from them, but just wandered around the streets casually. At this moment, a loud noise suddenly came over. Chapter 16 Little Jinbe. You disgusting fish man. Stop, as a voice full of anger sounded. A man wearing a hood and cloak was seen, hiding his face under the hood. He was chasing a whale shark man who was about 6 years old, wearing tattered clothes, with a chubby body and 2 big teeth in his lower jaw. Seeing this scene, Newgate immediately frowned. Because of the rebirth, the person in front of him who was hiding his head and showing his tail was probably a slave trader who came to the Fishman Island to capture fishmen. However, he still suppressed the anger in his heart and planned to wait and see what happened. Stop. Trash fishman. How dare you ruin my good deeds? Fishmen are indeed a race that is 10 times stronger than humans in terms of physical fitness. Even though the whale man is only about 6 years old, the hooded man was unable to catch up with him in a short time. Whoosh! Seeing that the hooded man was about to lose track of him, he immediately hit the whale shark man's vest with his own hand. Bump! Although the whale shark man has been running away, he has been observing the movements of the hooded man with his peripheral vision. As soon as he saw the hooded man throwing his knife at him, he immediately rushed to the side. Judging from the movements, he is very skilled, and it is obviously not the first time he has done this. But, since the distance between the whale shark and the hooded man was not very large, when the whale shark man wanted to get up and continue running away, the hooded man had already arrived in front of him and looked at him condescendingly. Run, keep running. Hearing this, the whale shark man did not speak. Instead, his eyes moved around, as if looking for an opportunity to escape. If you destroy Lousy's opportunity to make money, Lousy will kill you. As he said that, the hooded man actually raised the knife in his hand and slashed at the whale shark man. Looking at the long knife attacking him, the whale shark man could only close his eyes in despair. After all, the enemy this time was different and much stronger. He had already tried his best to escape just now, so he no longer had any strength to escape at this time. However, the pain he imagined did not appear, and he opened his eyes curiously. He saw a tall man with 2 white beards about 10 centimeters long at the corners of his mouth, standing in front of him. Goo la la la. I can't just sit idly by. Are you a slave trader? Newgate suddenly laughed, then looked at the slave trader with a gloomy look and said, Edward Newgate. The moment the hooded man saw Newgate's face, his feet suddenly went weak. After all, this was a man with a bounty of 1.5 billion belly, and he didn't think he could beat him. Advertisement, Lord Newgate, please spare me, I will never dare again. Hearing this, Newgate didn't say anything. He just glanced at him with disgust and said, Go away. Okay, thank you. As he said that, he immediately rolled and crawled away from here. Newgate did not kill him mainly because it was completely meaningless, because there were too many slave traders. After all, this was a lucrative profession. There will never be enough slave traders to kill, and secondly, this guy is so weak, he is obviously just a little guy. Thank you for saving me. At this time, the whale shark man had also gotten up from the ground, thanked Newgate, and then ran again in the direction of the hooded man's escape. What does this kid want to do? He was clearly out of danger, and now he's running over there. Tsunade asked with some confusion as he looked in the direction the whale shark man left. The man just now must be a slave trader who specializes in catching mermaids. That little guy must want to save those mermaids. Newgate held his chin in thought. Why does it feel like I've seen him before somewhere? And he's a bit silly. Newgate thought to himself with some confusion. Sudden. An idea flashed in Newgate's mind. Holy shit, isn't this Jinbe? Why was he so round when he was a kid? Let's go take a look too, otherwise this little guy may be in danger. Newgate said, and then several people quickly chased in the direction of Jinbe. Soon they arrived outside a small village, but at this time. Suddenly there was a girl's voice calling for help, attracting the attention of Newgate and others. Help! Help me! Someone help me! Newgate's footsteps suddenly stopped. He then releases his own observation Haki, but the scene he perceived made Newgate frown. Because in the direction where the cry for help came from, there was a group of people uniformly wearing hoods and cloaks, who were wantonly catching beautiful mermaids. The captured mermaid family members were all knocked to the ground and their lives and deaths were unknown. Seeing this scene, the veins on Newgate's head popped out, and he was very angry inside. After all, whether in his previous life or now, Newgate regards his family as the most important person, and he has also experienced the pain of losing a family member. And now someone was actually causing this kind of pain in front of him. In an instant Newgate felt unforgivable. Advertisement. However, Newgate did not rush to take action, but once again found Jinbe's location. After all, one of the reasons why he came to the Fishman Island was to find Jinbe. Soon he found him in a corner. At this time, he rushed towards the man in front of him with a knife in his hand. He was knocked away again, and stood up again and rushed towards the man. Just when he was knocked away again, a warm embrace suddenly caught him. It's him! Jinbe's eyes couldn't help but light up as he looked at the tall man who had saved him again. Boy, let's make a deal. Okay. I'll help you deal with them. You promise me one thing. How about it? Newgate said with a smile. Please save them, as long as you are willing to save them. Don't say one thing. I promise you 10 things. Hearing this, Jinbe reacted immediately and knelt on the ground and begged. Goo la la la. Since you agree, leave it to me. Newgate put down the Jinbe in his hand. Then he looked at the traffickers with a gloomy look. Ah. Wow. Bump. The human traffickers present were all a group of guys with little strength, and the strongest one was only at the vice admiral level. So with just one face-to-face meeting, Newgate defeated them all. Jinbe didn't seem to have reacted yet, looking at the slave traders who fell to the ground with a cute look on his face. Ah. Is this solved? Jinbe seemed to suddenly react and looked at Newgate in front of him in surprise. Goo la la la. I'm laughing so hard. Why are you so slow to react? Seeing Jinbe's appearance, Newgate also burst into laughter instantly. I still remember that Jinbe was the same in his previous life. His reaction was extremely slow every time, but he didn't expect that his slowness had been like this since he was a child. Okay. Let's talk about our deal here, right? I've helped you save them, so you should agree to a condition for me, right? Newgate looked at Jinbe with interest. Chapter 17. Accept Jinbe. You can just mention it. Jinbe also nodded when he heard this. At the same time, I felt a little worried. After all, in order to get the man in front of me to help drive away the slave traders, I actually agreed to his conditions directly. What if he puts forward some bad conditions? Jinbe thought to himself. No matter what, as long as I don't let myself do evil, I will risk my life to help him do it. If I let myself do evil, then I will commit suicide. Jinbe thought to himself. But at this time, Jinbe was thinking wildly. Newgate spoke. Little guy. What's your name, Jinbe? Jinbe immediately straightened his body and said seriously. Jinbe? In fact, I didn't bother to deal with those people just now. If you regret it now, you don't have to agree to my condition. Newgate looked at him with a half smile. No, Jinbe immediately replied seriously. Since I have promised you, I will definitely do it. Seeing the resolute and serious face of little Jinbe, Newgate nodded secretly in his heart, and looked at Jinbe with more and more satisfaction. Goo la la la. Not bad, in that case. Newgate paused deliberately, making Jinbe's heart rise to his throat. Be my son Jinbe. Hearing this, Jinbe was stunned for a moment. Then he suddenly reacted again and looked at Newgate in surprise. He never expected that the man in front of him would make such a request. But for Jinbe, there is no need to hesitate. After all, He has been an orphan since he was a child. And the man in front of him not only saved him twice, but also helped him save his tribe. Although I made a deal with him, but the request he made was to let himself be his son. This was not even a request for him, it should be said that he was lucky. Dad? Jinbe subconsciously yelled a little cutely. Goo la la la, Jinbe, you will be my son from now on, inherit my surname and live happily, Edward Jinbe. When Newgate heard Jinbe call him daddy, he happily pulled him into his arms. Edward Jinbe. He looks pretty good. Jinbe enjoyed Newgate's embrace greedily. This was the first time he felt his father's embrace. After hugging Jinbe for a while, he broke away from Newgate's arms. Goo la la la. Tsunade, Marco, come here, you have a brother. Newgate greeted Tsunade and Marco happily. Everyone saw Dad. Tsunade curled his lips and complained. Then he turned to Jinbe with a smile on his face and said, Hello. My name is Edward Tsunade. I am Dad's eldest daughter. I will be your sister from now on. My name is Marco. I will be your brother from now on. Marco looked at Jinbe's tattered clothes and suddenly felt a little distressed, because he remembered his former self. No one knew better than him how difficult it was for a person to survive in this world. Sister? Brother? Advertisement, Jinbe murmured. This was the first time he felt like a family member. But his old habit relapsed, and he suddenly reacted as if he had suddenly realized it, and looked around in surprise. Hey, am I already a family? Peeved, ha ha ha. Jinbe, your reflex arc is too long. Tsunade saw Jinbe's cute look and immediately laughed happily. Ha ha ha. Goo la la la. Marco and Newgate also couldn't help laughing. When Jinbe saw this scene, he scratched his head in embarrassment and laughed together. Newgate then asked Tsunade and the three of them to communicate on their own. Because just when Jinbe called him daddy, the system voice in his head also rang. Ding! Congratulations to host for getting his second son. Do you want to get your second daughter? Close double angle bracket. No, Newgate said without hesitation in his mind. After all, they are still on the Fishman Island. Not to mention whether the climate is suitable or not. Besides, if someone directly gives birth to a person out of thin air, there is really no way to explain it to others. Moreover, the Fishman Island has a special location, and there are many fishmen who come here to catch mermaids for celestial dragons. If this special ability of his becomes known to the celestial dragons and the world government, things will become very troublesome. But Newgate was not idle and opened Jinbe's property panel. Name: Edward Jinbe. Age: 6 years old. Potential: A+. Power: F class. Speed: F class. Energy: F class. Body grade: F. Combat skills: Fishman Karate 9th stage. Ability: None. Evaluation: a silly fat-headed fish with pretty good potential, close double angle bracket. Although Newgate was mentally prepared after seeing the system's evaluation, he was still unable to complain about the system. I rated Marco as a pineapple, and now I rate Jinbe as a fat-headed fish. Ignoring the system's complaints, Newgate continued to look at Jinbe's attribute panel. To be honest, Jinbe's potential is already a ceiling among fishmen. Whether it's the past life or the present, there are only 3 strongest fishmen that Newgate has ever heard of. One is Jack from Beast's Pirates, and the other is Jinbe in front of him. The last one is the Fishman Tiger who climbed up the red line with his bare hands and then freed the slaves. But the strength of these 3 people is only at the peak level of Vice Admiral. Although fishmen live in the deep sea, their physical fitness is 10 times stronger than that of ordinary humans. But when God opens a window for you, he will close a door for you. In exchange, it is very difficult to find someone with terrifying talents among fishmen. Advertisement: therefore, in all these years, I have never heard of a fishman possessing admiral-level strength. But Jinbe may make history. Newgate glanced at the 5S Plus qualification enhancement potions lying quietly in his system's warehouse space and thought to himself. Just as Newgate was thinking, a noise attracted Newgate's attention. Just after Jinbe and Tsunade Marco introduced each other. Tsunade used healing jutsu to treat Jinbe's wounds. So amazing. I feel like the wounds on my body are healing quickly. Sister, you are so awesome. Jinbe looked at Tsunade with admiration. No way. Just don't get hurt all the time in the future, otherwise, sister will be exhausted to death. Tsunade rubbed Jinbe's fat fish head lovingly. Jinbe nodded obediently. By the way, sister, do we have to sort out our seniority? Otherwise, as dad has more and more children, our seniority will be messed up. Marco held his chin in thought. This is not simple. Let's distinguish them by age. When I turn 18, I will naturally be your eldest sister. Tsunade patted his chest and said confidently, then I will take second place. I am 7 years old. Marco also said immediately. Jinbe slowed down his reflex arc for another beat before he realized what he was doing and said in surprise. Then I will be the youngest third child. Ha ha ha. Your reflex arc is too slow. Marco put his arm around Jinbe's shoulders and said happily. Tsunade. Then it's settled that I will be the eldest sister, second brother, and third brother. Marco. Okay. Then I will be ranked second, eldest sister and third brother. Jinbe. Eldest sister, second brother. After arranging their seniority, the three of them couldn't help shouting to each other. Second brother and third brother, eldest sister and third brother. Big brother and second sister and third brother. Big brother third sister. As a result, the three people shouted more and more outrageously. Etc. Tsunade immediately stopped Marco and Jinbe. Something's not right, I'm sorry. You are the second brother, you are the third brother. Goo la la la. Newgate couldn't help but smile with relief when he saw this scene. After all, his children were not so harmonious in the previous life. Chapter 18 Jinbe's Request. Goo la la la. You guys come here, I have a few words to say to you. Newgate looked at the three people who were getting along very harmoniously, and immediately interrupted them. After all, when thinking about the tragedy that happened to the Whitebeard pirates in his previous life, Newgate still felt that he should say something ugly beforehand. After all, he would have more and more children soon. If someone is really going to harm your family, it's better not to let him join. Dad. What's wrong? Tsunade and others heard Newgate's call and rushed over immediately. Yes, Dad. You are so serious. Marco looked at Newgate's serious look and said secretly. Although Jinbe said nothing, he looked at Newgate curiously. Tsunade. Marco. Jinbe. Newgate looked at the three people in front of him fondly, and then said with a serious face. Our family will definitely grow in number in the future. This will cause conflicts among your brothers, so I want you to swear that you will never take action against your brothers and their families. If anyone dares to take action against his brothers and family, I will never forgive him. Dad. I can swear that I will never take action against my brothers and family. Tsunade also knows what his father means. Indeed, if there are more brothers and sisters in the future, there will inevitably be conflicts. The reason why my father did this was because he was afraid that they would kill each other. So she was the first to stand up and swear, sister is right. Marco also answered immediately. After all, Newgate pulled him out of the abyss and gave him the father's love he had never felt before. He had already treated Newgate as his father from the bottom of his heart. Me too. Jinbe, who was relatively slow to react, also reacted at this time and answered seriously. Tsunade. Dad. If someone really dares to take action against his family, I will be the first to disagree. Marco. Sister is right. Jinbe. Me too. Goo la la la. Don't blame Dad for being harsh. I'm just afraid that one day you will actually kill each other. Because you are all Dad's children. No matter who is hurt, Dad will be sad. Advertisement Newgate said with some emotion and helplessness. After all, these are all things that really happened in the past life. Since you are reborn in this life, you will naturally not want to see this kind of situation again. Dad. I will definitely take good care of my brothers and sisters in the future. I will never let that happen. Tsunade has also experienced the pain of losing a family member, so he naturally understands Newgate's thoughts. Goo la la la. Don't forget we are a family. Seeing his child being so sensible, Newgate suddenly burst into laughter. Jinbe. What's wrong with you? Is there anything you want to say? But after he finished laughing, Newgate saw Jinbe's expression of hesitation. As if he had something to say, he immediately asked, "Dad." When he heard Newgate calling him, Jinbe seemed to have made up his mind. He knelt on the ground and said, "Dad, can you protect the Fishman Island? I don't want my people to be captured and massacred wantonly again." Hearing this, Newgate also fell silent and sheltered the Fishman Island, something he had done in his previous life. And not only the Fishman Island, but every one of his children has actually lived under his protection. And the final result is also known. Once they lose their shelter, they are like plants in a greenhouse, and it is difficult to survive at all. Call. After thinking for a long time, Newgate exhaled a deep breath. "I refuse. Dad. I beg you." Jinbe's face was filled with tears when he heard this. He knelt on the ground, and even took a nap. "Dad." Marco wanted to plead for Jinbe, but was immediately stopped by Tsunade. Marco and Jinbe were still young and they didn't understand, but Tsunade had 2 lives. How could he not understand his father's thoughts? "Jinbe." Newgate looked at Jinbe, who was kneeling on the ground, and kowtowed, and helped him up with some distress. "Jinbe, have you ever thought about something? If I really go to protect the Fishman Island, maybe they can really live a peaceful life for a while. But, advertisement, what will happen if I die one day? What do you think will happen to the Fishman Island, which has been accustomed to peaceful life, if they return to this situation again?" Newgate looked at Jinbe very seriously. If a race wants to avoid being bullied, it can never rely on others. Only when you are strong can you make others fear and respect you, so that others will not bully you. "Dad." Upon hearing this, Jinbe immediately understood what Newgate meant. "Dad, I understand. Whether it's for myself, my tribe, or my dad, I want to become stronger than anyone else." Jinbe looked at Newgate seriously. "Goo-la-la-la. As long as you understand, just hold on to this determination and grow infinitely." Seeing Jinbe's serious look, Newgate also smiled happily. After this little episode in Jinbe, everyone no longer had the mood to continue visiting the Fishman Island, so the group returned to the Moby D*K. What a big boat! Jinbe looked at the Moby D*K under his feet with shining eyes and ran around excitedly. "Jinbe, how do you feel about this being your home from now on?" Newgate also asked happily. "Ah, this is my home." Jinbe's reflex arc was very long when he heard this. It took him a while to suddenly react and said with a surprised look on his face. Because Newgate had already arranged for his men to replenish supplies when he went out. So now the supplies and oxygen on the Moby D*K have been replenished. Since Newgate's main goal now is to go to Death Canyon and get the left cut, so as to improve his strength as soon as possible. And he also accepted Jinbe as his son in the Fishman Island. So there is no need to stay in the Fishman Island. Following Newgate's order, the Moby DK slowly sailed away from the Fishman Island and headed towards the New World. After Newgate arranged for Jinbe, he immediately returned to his room. "I couldn't wait to open the system and secretly said in my heart, 'System. Let's start extracting my second daughter now.' Ding. Congratulations on successfully claiming the host reward. Now we will begin to draw the unfortunate people in the world. Please wait while the draw is in progress." Chapter 19 The Second Daughter. As the system beep sounded, the familiar picture appeared in front of Newgate's eyes again. It's just that the content of the screen this time is completely different from Tsunade's. I saw a little girl with pink hair and pupils appearing on the screen. She was a little girl with a pretty happy family, and she was elegant and graceful. Aha! When Newgate saw this scene, he just wanted to praise his daughter for her beauty. But, thinking of Tsunade's unfortunate life, Newgate's heart sank to the bottom. However, these things had already happened, and Newgate could not change them. Thinking of this, Newgate could only shake his head helplessly and said, "I hope this child will not be as unfortunate as Tsunade." Newgate then focused on the scene in front of him. Sure enough, a happy life is always short-lived for these unfortunate people. The little girl in the picture was adopted by her parents to an old bald man, and then the old bald man directly used the little girl for experiments, throwing her into a room full of weird bugs. She survived for 3 days in a world full of imprinting bugs. She had been crying for the first 3 days, but starting from the 4th day, she stopped crying, not because she was not afraid anymore, not because she was no longer in pain, but because she no longer had the strength to cry. Bump. Newgate kicked a huge hole in the floor. After all, this was not the first time he had used the system, so Newgate knew that the little girl in the video would soon become his child. And now Newgate actually saw his daughter being so tortured by the old bald man. Newgate's anger was like a volcano about to erupt, if he didn't know that he was in two different worlds. Newgate will definitely crush that old bald man to ashes, this dead bald man. I am really angry to death. What a pity for my little daughter. Newgate looked at the little girl whose eyes had become hollow in the picture and felt heartbroken. The picture continued to change, but everything on the picture made Newgate even afraid to look at it. Without exception, it was always the little girl being abused. Even later, the little girl's eyes had lost their light. The color of her hair and eyes also changed from bright pink to dull purple. Even so unfortunate, the world still hasn't let him go. The stepbrother actually took action against such a pitiful girl, and under his force, he even violated the little girl. Buzz. Seeing this, Newgate couldn't bear it anymore, and the Conqueror's Haki on his body was directly released. The bed, walls, tables and chairs in the room were all covered with dense cracks in an instant. Bang bang bang. What happened to Lord Newgate? Suddenly there was a knock on the door, and a pirate asked anxiously. After all, Newgate had made a lot of noise time and time again, even though he knew that his captain was powerful. But there is still some concern. It's okay. Just back off. Advertisement. After Newgate dismissed the pirate minions at the door, he continued to focus on the scene in front of him. The scene continued to move forward, but fortunately, the rest of her life was never as unfortunate as her childhood. And she also met a man who could warm her life, and even that man gave up everything just to protect her. The picture ends here. A girl with purple hair, surrounded by tentacle-like black shadows, stands there timidly, and underneath is her name, Mato Sakura. Quote. Although the scene was over, Newgate's heart could not be calm for a long time. He really didn't know how such a little girl could survive such torture, but since she had become his own child, he must give her a perfect childhood. Newgate also secretly made up his mind. Ding. The extraction of Mato Sakura was successful, and now we are using host's genes to shape her body. Please wait. As the system beeped, a shadow appeared in front of Newgate, and it gradually became solid as time went by. Finally, 5 minutes later, the figure completely solidified. He saw a little girl with purple hair standing timidly in front of him. Grr. From now on my name is Edward Newgate, you will be my daughter. Newgate showed a gentle smile and said to Sakura in front of him with a smile. Okay. Dad. Sakura looked at Newgate's tall body and said with some fear. Sakura, do you still remember the memories from your past life? Newgate asked cautiously. I just remember that I was adopted into the Mato family, and then an old man threw me into a pile of insects. It hurts so much. Don't come here. Hearing this, Sakura also said thoughtfully, but as if she recalled something terrible, she suddenly ran to the corner and squatted down in fear. Have you forgotten some memories? It's okay to forget. Newgate looked at Sakura and felt a little happy in his heart. For Sakura, maybe forgetting some things is a good thing. As Sakura no longer needed and abandoned again. Sakura squatted in the corner and muttered to herself. Goo la la la. You are not unwanted. You are a family member that lousy values and you are my daughter. Newgate directly picked Sakura up from the corner and said with a smile. Quote. The moment she was picked up, Sakura's mind went blank, followed by a sense of fear. But, after a while, there was no abuse as expected. Sakura felt Newgate's warm embrace and her whole body slowly calmed down. Only then did she dare to secretly observe the man in front of her. Dad. Sakura shouted timidly. Goo la la la. Advertisement. Sakura. Don't worry, no one will ever bully you here. Dad will give you a perfect childhood. Newgate also said happily when he heard Sakura calling him. Sakura, you will inherit my last name from now on and live happily in this world as Edward Sakura. After listening to Newgate's words, Sakura nodded with shining eyes. Then Newgate took Sakura to meet his men, as well as Tsunade, Marco and Jinbe. And when they learned about Sakura's experience, everyone immediately regarded Sakura as a treasure. Everyone treated her very gently. And Tsunade is even more maternal, taking Sakura with him directly, whether they eat or live together. After arranging Sakura, Newgate returned to his room. The system opens Sakura's property panel. Name: Edward Sakura. Age: 6 years old. Potential: A+, S+. Power: G class. Speed: G class. Energy: G class. Body class: G. Combat skills: none. Ability: Magic Circuit Contract Imprint. Evaluation: the girl who masters magic has terrifying power hidden in her body. Power enough to destroy an entire city. Close double angle bracket. Looking at Sakura's attribute panel, Newgate nodded, but Sakura's potential also made Newgate frown a little. What's going on with the brackets in System Sakura's potential column? Newgate asked with some confusion. Ding. That's a hidden potential that needs to meet certain requirements before it's triggered. Close double angle bracket. Hidden potential. Hearing this, Newgate also understood something, and suddenly remembered that he had seen a black tentacle in Sakura's picture. That thing is indeed amazingly powerful, but it will make Sakura lose control. 3 days later. Follow up quickly. 1001, 1002. Quote. As soon as Newgate came to the deck, he saw Marco and Jinbe working hard. Suddenly Newgate also remembered that he seemed to have 5S plus potential enhancement potions still in the system warehouse. Suddenly he had an idea in his mind, and he shouted to Marco and Jinbe. Marco, Jinbe, come here. Chapter 20 Marco and Jinbe with increased potential. Ability. What's wrong, Dad? Jinbe and Marco heard Newgate's call, and immediately rushed over and stood in front of Newgate in confusion. How have you been exercising lately? Newgate asked in a somewhat doting tone. Dad, I've made a lot of progress now. As he spoke, Marco also raised his arms to make a strong gesture. Me too. Jinbe also said cutely. Goo la la la. Hearing this, Newgate also laughed happily, and then opened the attribute panel of the two of them. Name: Edward Marco. Age: 7 years old. Potential: A+. Power: G class. Speed: G class. Energy: G class. Body class: G. Combat skills: none. Ability: none. Evaluation: a pineapple head with good potential. Close double angle bracket. Name: Edward Jinbe. Age: 6 years old. Potential: A+. Power: Class F. Speed: F class. Energy: F class. Body grade: F. Combat skills: Fishman Karate 9th stage. Ability: none. Evaluation: a silly fat-headed fish with pretty good potential. Close double angle bracket. Indeed, as Marco said, after this period of training, Marco has improved greatly. Whether it is strength, speed, energy, physical level and other aspects, Marco has grown completely. It can be seen that Marco is really working hard. After all, it has only been 2 or 3 days since Jinbe joined, and his strength has improved a lot. The potential of the two of them is not too strong. The main reason why they have made such a big improvement in such a short period of time is because they work hard enough. That's why we have made such great progress. If their potential is increased, their speed of improving strength will definitely become faster. Thinking of this, Newgate nodded with satisfaction, and then took out 2 bottles of S plus potential enhancement potion from the system warehouse. He handed them to Marco and Jinbe and said, Marco, Jinbe, you two drink this. Okay daddy. Advertisement. Marco and Jinbe responded, immediately took it without hesitation, and drank it directly. So comfortable. After drinking the potion, Marco and Jinbe immediately felt a warm current flowing through their bodies. Everything the warm current passed through became extremely relaxed, as if the shackles restricting the body had been lifted. The warm current didn't disappear until 10 minutes later. Marco, Jinbe, didn't you even ask what I gave you to drink? Aren't you afraid it was something bad? Newgate was a little surprised when he saw that the two of them believed in him so much. How could Daddy give us something bad? But does Daddy still have that thing just now? I feel so good after drinking it. When Marco heard this, he immediately said with certainty, but as soon as the conversation changed, he started asking for the potion again. Go, go, go. Do you know what that is? It's a potential enhancing potion. After drinking it, you will be able to break through to the Admiral level. It doesn't matter if you drink too much, it will be left to your future brothers and sisters. Newgate's eyes widened when he heard this. He had never noticed before that Marco was so clever that he would take the initiative to ask for good things. Thinking of Newgate, he opened the attribute panel of the two people again. Name: Edward Marco. Age: 7 years old. Potential: S+. Power: G class. Speed: G class. Energy: G class. Body class: G. Combat skills: none. Ability: Fire Explosion. Evaluation: a pineapple head with good potential. Close double angle bracket. Name: Edward Jinbe. Age: 6 years old. Potential: S+. Power: Class F. Speed: F class. Energy: F class. Body grade: F. Combat skills: Fishman Karate 9th stage. Ability: Water control. Evaluation: a silly fat-headed fish with pretty good potential. Close double angle bracket. When Newgate saw the changes on the attribute panels of Marco and Jinbe, he immediately raised his eyebrows. The most intuitive thing is that the potential of both of them has been upgraded to S+, but Newgate already knew about this change when they drank the potion. What really surprised Newgate was the extra abilities in the ability columns of Marco and Jinbe. One is a fire explosion and the other is water flow control. Is it possible that the S+ potential enhancing potion is to give them the ability to awaken, so as to increase the potential of the user in a different direction? Newgate rubbed his chin and thought. And the abilities they gained are so suitable for them. Newgate has to say that the two abilities awakened by Marco and Jinbe are really suitable for them. Advertisement. Marco's fire explosion, as the name suggests, causes the flames within your sight to explode at will. It may not be a big improvement to the current Marco. But don't forget that you know how to obtain the phoenix fruit. After Marco eats the phoenix fruit in the future, his attack methods will immediately become richer. But I just don't know how powerful the explosion is. Newgate was also a little curious. Jinbe's awakened ability is water control. As the name suggests, he can control water to attack the enemy. If people from other worlds awakened this ability, their strength would definitely not increase too much. Because as the name suggests, water flow control is to control water flow, but it cannot produce water out of thin air. If there is no water, this ability is the same as nothing. But don't forget, this is a pirate world, and there is nothing else but a lot of sea water. With the control of water flow, Jinbe's strength has almost made a qualitative leap. Especially when facing demon fruit power, he almost becomes a big killer. Marco, Jinbe, you too, try it carefully to see if you have awakened any special abilities. Newgate said to Marco and Jinbe. Special abilities. Hearing this, Marco and Jinbe closed their eyes and began to feel the changes in their bodies. Dad, it seems there really is. After a while, Marco opened his eyes excitedly and said happily. What is it? Newgate inquired with a smile. I feel like I can make the fire within my sight explode. Marco said excitedly. Dad, I have one too. At this time, Jinbe on the side also spoke. Oh, Jinbe, what ability have you awakened? When Marco heard this, he immediately asked Jinbe curiously. This is it, Jinbe said, and suddenly a stream of water passed through the coating of Moby DK, changing its shape under Jinbe's control. Control the water flow. It's amazing. Marco's eyes suddenly lit up when he saw this scene. Where is there? Hearing this, Jinbe also scratched his head in embarrassment. Newgate also praised Jinbe, and then asked Marco and Jinbe to continue training. Originally, he wanted to test the power of Marco's flame explosion. But considering this is in the sea, if the residual power of the flame explosion destroys the coating, it will be over. After this episode, the Moby DK quickly rushed toward the sea. However, in this pitch-black underwater world, a pitch-black figure quietly appeared on the Moby DK, and strange things began to happen.